Rain World Hunter. Hey, Silent Business, Jason Man, Ponnywood, DLM, DL McNug? DL McNug? Gamer59, Kamenudi, Vaneth, and Skeleton Master. So, I've been putting this off for a little bit just because I've been busy with things. You can't beat the game on expert or above. Should you quit the game? No, why would you quit the game? Unless you're not having fun with it, in which case I'd consider it. It's storming pretty bad out right now. There's a small chance I might lose power. So if the stream goes down at some point, assume I probably lost power. I mean, it's not likely, Jason Man, but just as a warning, if the stream goes down, that's probably what happened. I mean, what's giving you trouble? Are you at like the end of the game? You having trouble with like the Moonlord, the Pillars? You struggling to get through pre-hard mode? I'd see a Sandroid. In any case, we've got to prepare to fight the Moonlord. And our current stipulation is control inversion. What that means, it's basically permanent confusion. Up is down, down is up, left is right, and right is left. Hits from Astro with the range to only Wall of Flesh besides dodging its attacks. I mean, get imp banners. You struggle with Wall of Flesh? You want to lay out an arena, and I'd suggest also reforging your accessories to warding. Yeah, confusion also swaps up and down. That's why gravitation potions are really annoying with confused. At least it swaps some aspects of up and down, not necessarily all of them. But we're going to swap all of them. Okay, so the main mechanic we're going to have to work around here is the Moonlord's healing, right? Every about 15 seconds in his first phase and about 5 seconds in his second phase. Well, that's how long there is between tongues getting sent out. He's going to send out his tongue, and realistically, we don't have a way to dodge it. We didn't kill Duke Fishron because my dance pad broke, so we're not going to be able to get a Shrimpy Truffle. We don't have a Soaring Insignia. And I don't have Asphalt set up. So, we're going to have to go to the fallback strategy, which is teleporters. Which is what I did during the original Flare Gun only. We dodge the tongue to the best of our ability. When we can't dodge it, we just teleport a distance away. The Moonlord will teleport to us, and the tongue won't teleport with him. So, we're going to want to define a spawn point. Yes, the tongue attack heals, but no subusing? No. No. But that's not a concern here. It does. I'm plenty experienced with avoiding that healing. Realistically, I will set my spawn point somewhere over here. Maybe I do it in that tree over there. Well, that's about the solar pillar. It'd be annoying to build in there. Does it mirror dodge it? I mean, I'm talking about ways to dodge it. There are multiple ways to dodge it. You can teleport away from it. That's why I said I was going to teleport away from it. Like you're just rephrasing what I said already, but in the form of a question. I'm probably going to want to use actual teleporters from the mechanic. I think recall home. Maybe I'll set my home, like, over here. And then connect it with wire to a room right here. I'd prefer chicken, Purple Goose. Those are far enough away that there's no chance the tongue will get back to the Moonlord in between things. And then once we're here, we run to the side. Wouldn't Hollowed set be useful for long drawn-out battles? No! No, Hollowed is so much worse than Beetle. Hollowed is absolute trash compared to Beetle armor. I mean, Beetle armor's endurance buff recharges in like 3 seconds and is 45% damage reduction. Hollowed armor recharges in 30 seconds and nullifies one hit, which probably wouldn't have done that much damage to begin with. But no. Hollowed is certainly not better. We go over here. Beetle armor is best. I mean, for survivability, it's shell. For scale, or for damage, it's scale mail. I mean, they do completely different things. Neither one's better than or worse than the other one, inherently. So we either bring Gamer 59. I mean, there's Coast Flares, but that's it. Actually, I think I prefer the idea of teleporting before the Moonlord sends out his tongue, and then teleporting away from that. So I think what I'm going to do is set a spawn point, maybe over here, or over here. Wire that up to something over here, and then right before the Moonlord sends out his tongue, we teleport here, he sends it out, we use the teleporter to go a distance away. It'll be far enough away that we won't have to worry about him healing. And then we just fight him in this area until the time comes that he sends out his tongue again. We go back again, and then we keep looping that. Do I have heart statues? Doesn't look like I do. Unfortunate. Those would come in handy. Mighty unfortunate. Okay, well, let's do any preparation we want. We've got our ammo box. These banners out of here. Coast Flares ready. We've got 5,602. I'll just go ahead and research Coast Flares here. I mean, nope, that's not the research button. It's interesting. If you shift-click from ammo, it puts it in the trash, but if you shift-click from your inventory, it actually researches it. I don't feel like having to go find more Coast Flares. We'll just research them now. That's late enough in the run. 408 healing potions should be enough. This should be enough potions. Healing is the next concern. What do we have in terms of hot lanterns? I don't actually know. We got hot lanterns? Must have them somewhere. Any the potions I want? Don't think so. There's a hot lantern over in the dungeon. 2 of them by the dungeon. Any more anywhere? Hot lanterns down here. You figure out how to make hot lanterns? It's a life crystal and 4 chains, and you make chains with an iron bar at an anvil. Lantern in Plantera's arena. This fight will take probably about 2 hours. There's a lantern down there. 4 hot lanterns should be sufficient. Do I have any bass statues? There's a bass statue at the dungeon. Campfires over there too. Would the recipe required a bottle? Nah. It's gonna take a minute to get used to the whole control inversion. Yeah, it was a werewolf. It's Felboon. I have time paused right now for the very, very specific reason of there's a small chance a falling star could land on the solar pillar, which is the one remaining pillar, and kill it before I'm ready to summon the Moonlord, which would just be a bit annoying. So that's why time's currently stuck at 12:45. We'll unpause it for the actual fight. There's the bass statue. And there's the one in the Plantera arena. I think our stuff's all reforged about what we want. Yeah, looks pretty good. You know, meteors couldn't drop if time is paused? Nah, it's Falling stars are tied to the passage of time. Yeah. Oh wait, we got lava down here. Why is this down here? Oh, this was here when we were farming total shells. That's right. Okay, and then there's one more down in our Coast Flames farm. Isn't it? Crafting Moonlord summons needs Illuminite? No. And I mean, we only need to craft a Moonlord summon if we die to the Moonlord. There's like, this is possible, but it's also entirely plausible we just don't die to the Moonlord. In which case, we don't have to. Craft a summon. Off to the right here. That'll kill him. Hey, Aussie Obsidian. Yeah, all they take are the pillow fragments. If not, then you'd have to redo the pillows every single time that you died to the Moonlord, which would be very inconvenient. Also, it's about to be fire. I mean, it's not about to be anything, because it's going to take some time to develop. It's a fairly ambitious project. I mean, I've got a team of 40 people working on it. And it's going to take time to build levels and code things. There's a lot to get done. I mean, they're subdivided into smaller teams. I've got teams of 2 to 5 people working on individual tasks. It's not like I've got 40 people doing the exact same thing. Terraria and Dead Cells are your 2 favorite games. Can't wait for the crossover. It'll be interesting to see what the developers are doing for the crossover. And it's entirely possible that my mod will be done before the crossovers even out, because knowing Terraria developers, it takes them ages to make anything. And I've got more people working on my mod than there are people working at Relogic. Now, granted, they're not being paid, and they're all volunteers and all of that, but Relogic is allergic to deadlines. Let's put down a campfire, red lantern. I think my bass statue here, because I'll probably be most likely to be hit here. They will announce the update like a week ago. I don't understand that English. You've got your tenses wrong. You say will, which is future tense, and then a week ago, which is past tense. Alright, I don't plan to use her, but I suppose might as well pop the nurse in here just in case. She's right near here anyway. I'm so excited for Terracells 2 Calamity. The mod is not being developed with dependencies on Calamity. The roguelike mod. I know I said in that video we were going to base things on the roguelike mod. I mean that loosely. There's not really very much code similarity between the two mods. What's the restriction for the Moonlord? Control inversion. D is A, W is S, A is D, and S is W. Need the mechanic. Where is she? Where is she? Good question. Is she alive? Yeah, she's alive. Snow biome? Let me move in the snow biome. She's more affordable though. Mechanic. Let's do Joplin. It's going to have its own system. Paper. What's the painter in here? Yeah, Redux means I'm doing it again. But yeah, the roguelike mod created rooms using like the Calamity structure creator or something. That's not what we're using. We're using structure helper. Well, I might need to get some money. A little bit, it's 60. Here. Okay, we've got a grand design. We get a couple teleporters. We have to have a random announcement date announcing like update is coming next week. I just like it, Michael. Take out blue pressure plates. Okay, then I actually need a bunch of wire. See how much I can afford. 1,000 wire? Is 1,000 blocks gonna be enough? Not sure. We'll see. Worst case, we know just add on more mid-fight. To roguelike feels so far from Terraria, it's honestly got closer to Hollow Knight than Terraria. I mean, it's close to Risk of Rain. It's pretty Risk of Rain coded. I don't really think it's like Hollow Knight at all, personally. Where do I get the willpower to do these challenges? I usually buy them from Ace Hardware. Okay, let's sell some stuff. I won't need Demonite for anything anymore. I won't need any of these hard mode ores. I don't need 30 diamonds. I need these topaz. Got to be a Hollow Knight crossover with anything? Hollow Knight can't even cross over with itself and make Silksong. Let's get rid of this hollowed stuff. I don't need it anymore. It's like next to no references and crossovers, but you kind of like it. I mean, not every game. Crossovers don't fit in every game. And, you know, atmospherically, I think crossovers could be a little weird in Hollow Knight. But the difference between crossovers and references. Like a crossover is both games adding things from the other game. A reference is just a reference. A Hollow Knight crossover would be like adding a new area in Hollow Knight, or like adding a new boss fight from another game, or something like that. Why am I using the balloons when I have wings? Just because they're not mutually exclusive. I mean, it's hard to know, Paper. Like, Terraria has taken its crossovers in a few different directions in the past. You know, if you look at the... I assume Dead Cells is going to be a major crossover, right? Something akin to the Old One's Army or the Don't Starve Together crossover, as opposed to the more minor crossovers that it's gotten. So that means there's probably going to be some kind of seed or game mode or event that is inspired by Dead Cells. You had the constant seed with Don't Starve Together, and you had Deerclops get added. You have the Old One's Army event for the Old One's Army. For Dungeon Defenders. So I imagine the devs are going to add something similar, some kind of event related to Dead Cells, or some kind of special world seed related to Dead Cells. But, you know, what that could be, I mean, it's possible they could be doing something like what I'm doing with Terra Cells, where they're trying to make a whole, like, secret seed with world generation strung together. That would be very ambitious, and very different from what Terraria is now, but it's possible they could be trying to do something like that. It's possible they could just be doing an event, where, you know, something akin to the Old One's Army, where you have to fight enemies from Dead Cells with some penultimate boss at the end. It's really impossible to know what they might be planning with the update. You know, I'm interested to see, but they could take it in any number of different directions. Dead Cells has so many items that fit Terraria perfectly. See a boss being unlikely? Oh, I'm sure they're going to have a boss. I mean, like, a Terraria crossover update that doesn't add a boss would suck. Just to be blunt. I mean, like, the Old One's Army got 3 bosses. Don't Starve got a boss added. Dead Cells is gonna have a boss added. No. Femby. But yeah, I'm sure Dead Cells is going to have a boss added. You know, with Don't Starve Together, they just took the most iconic boss in Don't Starve, which would be Deoclops, also the first one. You know, maybe they'll do the Concierge, which is the first boss in Dead Cells. Maybe they'll take something else. But the bosses in Dead Cells, I think either Conjunctivius or the Giant are the most likely. Yeah, I think the Giant would be cool. I could also see Hand of the King. You know, the Concierge is the first boss, but it's not a very exciting boss. So it's what they'll have to do with things. Didn't Dead Cells cross over like a year ago? Yes, but for what it's worth, Dead Cells crossovers are not... Dead Cells crossover is likely going to be nowhere near the scale of Terraria's crossover with Dead Cells. Given how long they've been working on the Dead Cells crossover in Terraria, I mean, the Dead Cells crosses over with everything, and the Terraria crossover was like adding Star Fury. Can you kind of copy my channel, but instead of Terraria you play Roblox, it's like the child version of your channel? What do you mean, copy my channel? Thought they said they weren't going to add a boss? Did they say that? I don't know. That would be surprising to me. Feels like a strong missed opportunity. Okay, I think we're ready. We've got our accessories. Let me go make sure my spawn point is set. Okay, we spawn in. We teleport back. We run to the right. We keep going. When the time comes, we teleport back. Tongue comes out. Go back to the side. Okay. Well, it's in the title, Nullity. It's like you're gonna take inspiration from everything I do. But like, what is that? What does that mean? I mean... I would say you'd probably have more luck being original, than copying what I'm doing. Let's make sure everything's set with difficulty, expert mode, spawn rates are normal, unpause time. I mean, I don't know what kind of like challenges and you'll copy my profile but make it Roblox like. I'd rather you didn't do that. I mean, I have paid a lot of money to commission artwork, and it's an original character. Okay, I really have no idea how this is going to go. And I'm sure the inverted control is going to screw me up a little bit, but it was the simple... Oh, wait, hold on, fuck. Fuck. I forget, does the Moonlord start with his Deathfire, or do you start with his tongue? I guess we'll see. Yeah, we open the tongue. So this is his tongue. As you can see, spawns healing projectiles. We don't want that. That is bad. So, what we're gonna do is, whenever the tongue comes out, we do this. Okay, I'm gonna have to time that a bit better. You notice how he's not healed. That's kind of important here. Shit. It's on not having the storm insignia there. That's the idea there. Problem is I don't have a platform off to the right, which makes it a little bit dicey with avoiding things. We'll have to be a little bit tighter with those timings. Okay, for now. How long will this take? About 2 hours, I think. It's hard to say exactly, because the Moonlord has 3 different hitboxes here, but they're not all open. Wait, that's the wrong direction. We do take a slightly annoying amount of damage. Eating the death ray is going to be quite inconvenient. We also tend to seem to find ourselves taking those downward homing shots a lot. But does Moonlord's health decrease for a sec when he's teleporting? That's because it is unloading his core from his pool of health. Okay, we want to jump when we leave the teleporter. So his core HP is temporarily being subtracted from his total HP. It's just a visual glitch. It doesn't actually affect anything. We made the same mistake again. Get my control inversion messed up a bit. The daughter's gonna carry? I mean, yeah, if we didn't have the damage over time effect, this would be miserable. But, we do somewhere... Well, Post Inferno does 24 DPS. How much DPS exactly we do is gonna depend on how many different segments we apply it to at once and whether or not they're open. As you see, they're closing intermittently. And they also are not the easiest to hit, because they're quite small hitboxes. Oh, we're getting there. Damage is being dealt. Feels like the tongue debuff. I mean, if the tongue hits you, I get the debuff, yeah. Mostly comes down to my timing, whether or not that happens. Okay, well, we're dealing damage. We've done about 7,000 so far. His first phase is going to go by without much fanfare. It's his second phase that's going to be a bit dicier. And I'm not too sure how that one's going to play out. Is the tongue healing even noticeable in normal playthroughs? Not really. It's very easy to not notice that it exists, Vaneth. You might, if you're paying a lot of attention, notice the green 1000s popping up, but, I mean, usually you'll just kill the tongue clots without even noticing. And if you don't kill the tongue clots, it only heals them for 1,000, which... You know, at this point in the game, you're doing well over 1,000 DPS. It'll set you back a negligible amount. in terms of damage, so you won't really notice it on that perspective. And there's so much visually going on in the fight that it's extremely easy to not notice it happening. Oops, wrong direction. Yeah, a lot of people don't even know that the Moon Lord heals. It's got very limited relevancy. I guess the question for how long the first phase is going to take is just how long it's going to take to kill... What if I just go to the left here? Okay, that's not really doable, but it's... I guess an option. Okay, so it ends... I tried to beat Calamity only Mini Shark. Compared to this, that one was a cakewalk. You just gave up way too quick. I remember Calamity being annoying with the Moon Lord's tongue. I think it goes out a lot faster and is a lot harder to avoid. Yeah, I mean, you can see how often we're getting hit here. We don't have a very good defensive build. Like, we've got beetle armor. That's basically it. So we do actually take a pretty substantial amount of damage when we get hit. So dying is not out of the question. It's entirely possible that we could. We are also fairly restricted in our mobility options because we have to avoid his healing. Now, we can abuse teleporting, which tends to be quite effective. Shifting around the Moon Lord. Beetle plus Frozen Shell would be godly. You beat your first ever Moon Lord with that. Well, I don't have a Frozen Shell. I don't have a Paladin Shield either. Working with Obsidian. We get 200 Ice Tortoises. I believe it. It's probably before they buffed the drop rate, though, right? I think they made it more common in a recent update. Steam Summer Sale is over. We'll rest in peace, Celeste, for $2. Am I following my own advice and using warding? I mean, yeah, there's no reason for me to do anything else. What would I get? Lucky doesn't work with the flare gun. Menacing doesn't work with the flare gun. Violent doesn't work with the flare gun. Quick, it just sucks. Arcane doesn't work with the flare gun. Warding's the only reforge that does anything. Oh, okay, interesting. You don't think the flare gun is meant to be a weapon? Hey, just because it's not meant to be a weapon doesn't mean it can't be used as one. I mean, Terraria wasn't meant to have this many updates. Okay, well, we've done about 17,000 damage. But really, we've done about 6,000 damage to the top eye, which is what matters. Because the top eye is the most HP, it's going to be the bottleneck for this phase. You know, I really should have paid more attention to when the Moon Lord's... Synchronizing the True Eyes of Cthulhu is gonna... He healed so much. Did he even heal? I mean, I saw he had a leech come out, but I thought it despawned it before it made it back to him. I mean, if he healed, it wasn't even really noticeable to me. To be clear, his health bar thing that's popping up when he's teleporting, that's not him healing. How much DPS is it doing? A little bit less than 24 relevant DPS. A DPS tracker does not affect indirect damage. It would not tell us any information whatsoever. What matters is how much damage the debuff is doing, which is not tracked by the DPS meter. But, like, our DPS here doesn't matter. The only attribute that matters here is... The only metric that matters is how quickly we deal damage to the top eye. The hands will take damage incidentally. They have, like, half as much HP as the top eye. They're going to be reduced to negligible HP before the top eye is down. So how much DPS we have with them included doesn't matter. What matters is how quickly we deal damage to that top eye, and we're about 1/10 of the way there right now. And that would be to phase 2. Okay, bye, Femby. Someone should make a Celeste map, climbing gear, Cthulhu shield, and cloud in the bottle only. You could build all the crazy shit with the mechanic. I mean, Terraria has power 4 maps. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's made a stab at making something like, taking a stab at making something like that before. Rest in peace, slime. My man really walked up and went, "Hey, could I just, like, bead you?" It's flattering, I guess. There's a lot of incidental chip damage we're being exposed to. So, does anybody know... I figured this out for Lawnmower only and subsequently forgot it. At what point during the True Eyes cycle do they start at? Like, what point do you want to kill the Moonlord's hands to have True Eyes be popped out in a synchronized cycle? The sphere attack after the death rays is the end of their cycle. Okay. Right after the weird frog noise they make when they launch the spheres is about the right time to sink them. Would be hard to hit with the okay. Yeah, I need to preempt it. Like, I need to time when they die to the damage over time debuff to be about the right time. I'm not going to synchronize them perfectly, but I might be able to synchronize them within one, like, iframe of each other, which is 2/3 of a second. which would be ideal. What you don't want to have happen is have desynchronized death rays, mainly. If I can get all the death rays lined up to hit within 2/3 of a second of each other, that would be ideal. Alright, have fun, Pinywood. Have you gone to the side areas I mentioned? Did you mesmer? You'd never be able to do Elden Ring? Just too much stuff to do? It says they've ordered any Elden Ring DLC spoilers when you play it for yourself. Well, it's certainly an experience. I'll give it that much. That's too hard. I mean, Elden Ring is the most approachable Souls game for less skilled players, I feel like. It's got a ton of very forgiving mechanics, and with the introduction of Spirit Ashes being summonable, it's very easy to play without being very good at the game, is how I would describe it. People saying it's the easiest thing ever, the DLC? I mean, people saying that DLC is the easiest thing ever are just full of shit. Like, whether it's the hardest thing ever is a different question, but it's certainly not the easiest thing ever. What do you think about Elden Ring pause gate? I don't know what you're saying. Logan versus Spring Calamitous win? Never. Flogan versus as many bosses at once? I mean, the problem with doing as many bosses at once is there were like 3 relevant bosses to fight at once if you're including every boss in the game, and the rest of them are completely pointless. Like, you're not fighting every boss at once, you're fighting the Empress of Light, the Moonlord, and Duke Fishron, and then there are just kind of some other bosses nearby that'll probably just instantly die or despawn. You'll have enough defense to where they won't do damage to you. Like, they don't matter. If you're geared for endgame, every other boss is trivialized. Unlike, say, like, fighting bosses at once challenges come from, you know, back when Terraria had just, like, pre-hard mode bosses, and they were it. Like, you could fight Skeletron, King Slime, the Eye of Cthulhu, and the Eater of Worlds at once, and that would actually, like, they're all scaled to roughly the same level, but with how inflated Terraria's number scaling is, I mean, even if you just take the mechanical bosses, you know, if you're fighting the Moonlord, and you've got the mechanical bosses at the same time, the mechanical bosses are doing jack shit. They're just kind of there, and the Moonlord, you're really just fighting the Moonlord, and occasionally you'll get scraped by something that doesn't do much damage because it's scaled for earlier in hard mode. They were the mech bosses to the Moon Lord Moondusa. And I'm stopping the healing basically the same way that I did during the original Flogan only run. Just magic mirror. You know, recall potions would be a lot more convenient, but I just don't have enough recall potions. Because it makes the window for activating a teleport a lot shorter. Or it makes the window for activating it longer, because it's a shorter teleport. Do I have the timing down to a cinch? No. No, not at all. I mean, it might not be immediately obvious because I seem to be controlling it well, but my controls are inverted right now. I basically have a permanent confusion effect applied to me. An actual difference between the mirror and the recall potions? Yes, recall potions are significantly faster. How did the roguelike stream go? It inspired me to make a better mod. I mean, I talked about my thoughts on roguelike at the end of that stream. If you want to know how I feel about it, I would just go watch the tail end of that. To briefly summarize, it was fun to play for a couple hours. I don't think I would play more of it. Well, yeah, because I mean, like I said, I had the idea to make a Terraria roguelike mod like Terra Cells a couple months ago. I just didn't have the time to put into it at that point. And I wasn't really sure how well it would map onto Terraria. But I felt like roguelike was a cool proof of concept for demonstrating that something like that could be done well. And now I have a large team of people working on it. Experience with modding? Oh, I have no experience with modding. However, I don't need to have experience with modding because I know people who have experience with modding, and I don't need to be an expert at everything. I just need to know how to defer to people who do know how to do things. It's like being the president of the United States. You know, I don't have to worry about the Department of Weapons Creation or the Department of World Generation because I have my Secretary of World Generation ensuring that world generation goes smoothly. A figurehead for the project I'm planning, but I'm not really working on it. I mean, I am working on it. I'm not coding for the project, and I'm not actively building things for the project, but I am directing people and telling people how to do things, what needs to get done, and making sure things go smoothly. Yeah, it's like being the director for a movie. You know, I might cameo, like Quentin Tarantino when he has like women put their feet in his mouth, but I'm not actively like acting. You know. Yeah, so far it's been, people have been off to a lot of good work. I've been working with organizing, I just organized everyone into teams yesterday based on experience and what they want to work on. I've got teams working on weapons creation, world generation, the health systems, like disabling HP regeneration, giving health recovery mechanics. The UI, which is a nightmare, and I feel for Jotun and the other people who have to work with Terraria's UI, because Terraria's UI is nightmarish to work with. And then I've got a bunch of different teams working on building different levels. Right now I think the Forest, the Hive, the Desert Pyramid, the Frozen City, and the Caverns are being worked on. And I really like some of the builds that people have been making. Planning on adding new weapons. I don't intend on adding very many new weapons, at least not at this current moment, because Terraria has plenty of weapons to begin with. You don't need to add new weapons to Terraria. All you need to do is rework what already exists, and make things more unique or interesting. Because Terraria has hundreds of weapons, it's just most of them are underwhelming. You don't need to make new ones, you just need to change what's already there. How am I able to read chat, talk, and dodge so well at the same time? I'm good at multitasking. You know if they'll be closer to Dead Cells or Terraria Reforges? I'm not sure yet. That's going to come down to what the weapons team can implement. Which is likely going to come down to how difficult a system like Dead Cells would be. I would like to have a system like Dead Cells, but it's going to come down to how feasible it is to implement conditional damage increases versus enemies in particular states, or additional debuff effects. Reforge might, you know, it's like a burning debuff or something like that. It's hard to say right now. We've only been working on it for a couple days. 1.4.4 did not add a new weapon. They just made the Terrorblade awesome and that worked. No, that 1.4.4 did add some new weapons, like the Fly Meal. But yeah, it was mostly just reworking what was already there. I know, Vanna. Pretty much the menu texture is just one texture reused, so it's horrible to work with. Yeah. They're playing around with it and seeing how to work with things. And I've got some more experienced coders helping with things. I think the creator for the mod of Redemption, Homska, they've been advising people, not working on the code directly, but telling people how to adjust different things in the mod. Yeah, I'm very fond of... I'm really excited for the Hive mini biome. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek. We've been playing around with... So the Hive's going to be a small side biome, right? And we're playing around with the idea of needing to bring in a large amber to the Hive in order to unlock it. It's initially not going to be accessible. And I'm not really a quarter down, because the hand HP doesn't really count. It's really the top eye that matters. Does Amber spawn in all worlds? The idea is that, you know, the Hive society are going to be kind of scavenger-esque. And you will find errant bees or hornets, and you could kill them to obtain the large amber, which would be the key to the Hive. and then you be able to make your way into the biome. I'm planning on playing with player movement mechanics for bosses with arenas that use interactive blocks like bouncy slime and conveyor belts. That could be great in the context of a roguelike. For bosses, I'm not sure. I've thought about... one concept we had was actuating blocks, having platforms turning on and off. But that was more in the context of a level rather than a boss fight. There's a factory level, and the idea for the factory level is it's going to have actuators, conveyor belts, stuff like that. We'll consider implementing it for a boss fight itself, but I'm not sure how that would play out, and whether that would be interesting. I feel like gimmicks like that are more likely to be tied to a level rather than a boss, because bosses aren't the main part of the game, right? Most of the game is going to be the levels, and the boss fights are occasional strong challenges you'll have every couple levels. Played other mods besides the roguelike one in Calamity? I've played Thorium. That's about it, though. I've never been terribly big on Terraria modding. Yeah, I mean... I'm pretty sure... Like, being upfront about the mod and public with it as opposed to trying to hide things makes it a lot easier to get community help with things. Whether that be build ideas. I mean, a lot of the build inspiration, there have been things that the builders themselves have made and have kind of reworked into level concepts. But then there's also just been, you know, I've seen other people's builds online, and that's a good place to base inspiration from for a level. This is a good way of working with, say, hive blocks. And ensuring that, you know, you can make a robust hive level. You can get coding help by... You know, there are a lot of problems we need to solve in the mod, but we don't need to solve them from scratch. Other people have already figured out ways to solve them. So we can get help from other people or look up how other people have done if their mod code is public. As a baseline for how to implement different systems. There's not really any reason to be secretive about it. I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, publicly go, oh yeah, this is what every single level and every single mechanic looks like, but just because it's more interesting to have those things be, you know, teased over time. But like, if one of the builders, you know, shares their build idea with other builders and wants to get advice on how to make something look better or how to play around with things, or one of the modders wants to try to figure out a way to implement a system by asking other experienced modders, there's nothing wrong with that. How long is my estimate for the whole run? Like, for killing the Moonlord, or the whole flare gun run in total? I don't remember how long we've been playing with the flare gun, maybe like 40 hours. Not that long. First flares speed things up a lot. Oh, unless you mean for Terra cells, that makes more sense. Oh yeah, I had a whole team for the mod within like a couple hours of making that video. If you would still like to join the team, at this point I'm not really taking more people, but if you happen to be a very talented builder or a very experienced coder, I might consider it. Even if it's just coming on as like an advising role, you know, telling other people how to make things that look very good, or how to play around with the code to accomplish things. But, you know, at this point we have a lot of people working on the project, and you know, at a certain point, having too many people just becomes difficult to organize. Now we do, like, not everybody's working all the time. A lot of people are just, you know, it's largely volunteer work. You know, people aren't working around the clock. So it's not like I've got, you know, 40 people actively doing some stuff non-stop, but... I would say I'd only consider bringing people on if you're very good at building, and I would say have a particular idea for a direction for one of the biomes to go in. Because once a lot of the builders have a style guide or something to base room designs off of, it's not too difficult to emulate. But getting that style nailed down in the first place is the slightly trickier part. And as coding, like, if you have experience with relevant systems from other mods, I'd consider it. But that would be about all that I would consider for adding more people on at this point. The Moon Lord's, like, lingering, like, projectiles that show up lingering in the air before he teleports in kind of look like the vortex fragments. I'll see if you can see it here. Interesting. He only does it if I teleport from the right, so I need to, like, get over there. Yeah, I mean, like, it would be cool to implement all sorts of different features, but at the end of the day, like, this is a pretty ambitious project, and the amount of things that we could implement, especially at first, is going to be limited. You know, I can't... He's not doing it anymore. I can't sit here and realistically expect to implement all these complicated and robust features when you don't even have a baseline to work off of. Yeah, I got that, Patrick. I would say 20 to 30 minutes. I want it to be faster paced. It's got about 5 levels, and like 3 or 4 boss fights. We spend, you know, a couple minutes per level. You know, if you spend your time exploring a bunch of stuff or killing everything, it might take a bit longer. But I think 20 to 30 minutes is probably the ballpark. That's one of the things that I didn't particularly like about roguelike, and is also echoed in Risk of Rain, at least Risk of Rain 2, is those runs are long. It takes ages to get anything done, and it also feels like the game only gets interesting late into a run. Where initially, you just don't have items and things aren't interesting. And even more so than just, you know, explicit length into roguelike was just time to kill on enemies was pretty excessive. You know, we were sitting there fighting Skeletron for 5 minutes. We couldn't even out DPS the pillars as they were spawning enemies. It was pretty rough. I don't want situations like that. I don't want... I mean, even just in the base mod, you have to shoot enemies like 5 or 6 times with a weapon that's not that fast in order to kill them. That's a pretty slow time to kill. And you have to shoot bosses hundreds of times. It's like... It's like going to the teleporter event as Commando in Risk of Rain 2 with no upgrades. Or is like multi-spamming the nail gun. Is what it felt like trying to fight bosses there. But then it was that for the entire game. I like roguelikes where you can kind of just hop in and start playing, and if you die, it's not a big deal because it didn't take that long to get there. You know, 10 or 15 minutes in, you're multiple stages in, you've got things that have made your run interesting, and even if you die at this point, you've had fun just by playing up to that point. Like Vampire Survivor, like roguelikes? I haven't played Vampire Survivors. Ice mirrors any different from magic mirrors? Nope, they're identical. They can't be crafted, and therefore can't be shimmered, but otherwise they're identical. I wouldn't like Noida. Correct, I fucking hate Noida. Worst game I've ever played. At least somebody acknowledged that before I played Noida. I don't have any problems talking to women, Wendy. I think that's a you problem. I mean, you can both talk to women and beat Moonlord with a flare gun. It's not an either-or situation. Putting time boundaries in roguelikes is important. You don't want to do Poke Rogue, where the game actively harms players' mental health with 40-hour runs. What is Poke Rogue? Is that like a Pokemon roguelike? What does that even entail? I thought like Nuzlocke were kind of Pokemon roguelikes. Noida is the exact opposite of what you're describing to be successful because it requires a lot of patience. Yeah, that was what I hated about Noida. It wasn't so much the patience, it was the feeling that, you know, I wasn't really having fun with the build-up process, and if you die, you just have to go through the entire build-up process again. And you die to just random bullshit everywhere, and there's no indication of what's going to explode and instantly kill you. That was what I found very frustrating in Noida. And, like, sure, once you play the game a bunch and learn that, you could do it faster, but the learning project was an abject nightmare. Poke Rogue is certainly something, if you like competitive Pokemon and min-maxing, then it can be fun. Oh, I don't like competitive Pokemon and min-maxing. Yeah, I'm a big fan of another game that does that well, Nuclear Throne. Nuclear Throne type rogue. Nuclear Throne is very fast-paced. You go, and if you die, you just immediately go back into it. You know, you're playing for 10 or 15 minutes a run. It's short, it's fast-paced, it's fun. And it's low commitment, more importantly. Nuclear Throne felt like Noida to me if it didn't have the incredibly slow, tedious aspect where you would just die and throw everything away. Because things are bullshit and will kill you in Nuclear Throne. But you're playing for 10 or 15 minutes, and you die, you just hop right back in and not Noida. There's a roguelite called Oddtogeddon. Oddtogeddon? Not like Octogeddon? On the other hand, very short roguelikes tend to get older quickly and the ending might feel underwhelming. I don't know about that one. I think if the gameplay is fun, that's not really a concern. Like, Nuclear Throne is very repetitive, but I've had fun playing it for a couple dozen hours, and I mean, if somebody plays the Terra Cells mod for a couple dozen hours, I consider that a great victory. I think the more important thing is just having the core gameplay be robust and fun. We're trying to implement a Dead Cells-esque system where it's not terribly repetitive because you're going to have random drops and weapon diversity, along with different accessories and synergies you can get. I mean, that's the main thing with Risk of Rain 2 that happens a lot, is I've got a lot of people that enjoy playing Risk of Rain 2, but Risk of Rain 2, you can't just play Risk of Rain 2. Playing Risk of Rain 2 is a commitment to doing a long run. Especially if you're going to loot. You know, you're going to sit down for 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, and it really only gets fun as you get into the later game. And if you die or when the run finishes, you don't really want to go back and keep playing more. It's like, okay, whew, that was fun. I'm gonna go do something else now. I mean, different styles work well for different people. Patrick. Noida is a multi-world RPG with permadeath. Yeah, I remember when I was playing Noida, I felt like I would have engaged with the world much better if it was not a roguelite. If it was just like a Terraria-esque RPG, where like you would save before getting into levels, or you could go back and forth to different levels, as opposed to dying and having to do everything over again. Especially like the whole pixel simulation thing seemed like a cool mechanic when I heard about the game, but in practice, I felt like I never really engaged with it, and it would usually just lead to things collapsing. Because when I engaged with it, it usually just led to me dying because the pixels actually dealt damage to me, or they caught fire, or they just exploded for some reason. And I felt like it was punishing exploration and testing in a very harsh way that made me just not want to test things. It's a risk-reward thing, and I felt like in Noida the risk was way too high, to the point that I just didn't want to try anything new, because it usually just killed you. And when it killed you, you would reset your entire run. Can't tell if your personal preference or if you think those games are objectively bad with pure facts. Are you talking about Noida? I mean, I think, obviously, there's going to be some subjective element to what I'm saying. I think Noida is not well designed for new players getting into the game. I think trying to learn and get into that game is miserable unless you just have things to look up on a wiki or have guides. I think that's bad game design, the way that Noida's early game is set up. It's very punishing, and if you want to be punished really hard, sure, but I don't think it's good. Noida's all about risk mitigation while forcing you to interact to get a grasp on anything. I mean, I don't mind risk mitigation games. I love XCOM games. I really enjoyed the risk-reward aspect of, like, Lethal Company, deciding when to do things. I just don't think Noida did it very well. The learning curve is very steep since there's no commas. I can't really tell what that number is exactly, but a very big number of mechanics to look for. Yeah, and I don't think that's good. I think the game should have, like, a tutorial or some kind of player guidance because of how punishing things are. In a game like Rain World, which has no tutorials and kind of just thrusts the player into the world, dying is much less punishing. You lose a couple minutes, you go back to the last shelter, In Noida, you lose everything, and it felt like it had even less guidance than Rain World. And Rain World also, the developers realized, hey, by setting up a game like this, we're really limiting how people can play it and have fun with it. We're going to introduce tutorials that can be optionally turned on in the settings menu. And I don't like those tutorials. I think they kill the vibe of the game. I wouldn't recommend playing with them turned on, but I really appreciate that they're there, because they make the game a lot more accessible to more people, and more people can play it and enjoy it as a result. Like, in Noida, I didn't even know that, like, wand making was a thing for, like, an hour into playing the game. And that's, like, the main mechanic. There was no tutorial. There was no guidance. If there was, I missed it. And it wasn't very clearly presented. And then, as soon as I figured out that, like, wand making was a thing, I tried it out, experimented with it, and then instantly killed myself. And then I tried it again and just instantly killed myself. And this was like, you know, 15 or 20 minutes into a run. And that just feels like shit. You know, to go, oh, hey, there's a cool wand crafting aspect. You know, I'm 20 or 30 minutes into a run. I can try putting this new effect that I get. And then I was at, like, the hub between worlds. And apparently it destroyed the, like, temple there. And it spawned a guy that just killed me. Literally no way for me to know that. There's no way for me to know what the wand even does. It's not like, oh, this destroys terrain. It's called, like, I don't even remember what it was called. But just, okay, I tried engaging with the system, now I'm dead, and the run, like, there's 30 minutes in the trash, and we go back to not having fun. It was stuff like that that really turned me off of Noida, and is why I refunded the game. Because that was just not fun. That learning experience. There was a sandbox mode for experimenting. The game could work a lot better as a roguelike, since it's usually punishing to fuck around. I missed the stone tablet of knowledge that told you about the Terraria. It's written in cipher that you have to decode by hand. Yeah, there are games that I think can work really well without tutorials, and games that I think should offer some amount of guidance to the player. And I think Noida is a game that should have offered more guidance to the player. I'm not familiar with Oxygen Not Included. It's like Noida wants to be a lot of different things, and it implements systems from different genres that work well within those genres or within those games. But because of all those systems existing in tandem, it makes the game extremely hard to learn. And once you know the game, you know, once you figure out those systems, I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure you can interact with it in a great way. But trying to learn all of the different rules that you have to abide by, all of the tiny different aspects that'll just instantly kill you and resell your progress, it really made the game not enjoyable to play. Insane game where you gain from not having roguelike mechanics. Another way to put it is, it's not quite this harsh, but Noida kind of reminded me of, like, playing Rain World, if there was just permadeath. Where it was extremely easy to slip up and make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you just instantly died, and then you'd go restart the entire game. Noida is very much built around being cryptic, and there's tons of nigh unsolvable puzzles. Yeah, it's just, it's not the game for me. Like, I'm sure there are people that enjoy things like that. This is not for me. we're lagging behind a bit on this right hand for damage. Will there be a lawnmower Redux? No. The reason I'm doing the flare gun Redux is because they added coast flares. I'm gonna need to go travel to Relogic HQ and ask Red what the fuck he's thinking if he adds a coast lawnmower. Will there be a... Can you explain how fishing works and get fixed, boy? Dude, I don't know how fishing works. I think there's... a chance for fishing catches anywhere in the world, or maybe just in the middle parts of the world, to count as the ocean. But, like, I don't really fish that much in general. And I could not tell you how get fixed boy fishing works. I mean, I think it's good that Noida exists, because I think it's good for people that want that kind of game experience to get it, right? Like, there are people that really enjoy a game like Noida, that want to have those incredibly cryptic meta puzzles. I could see people who like to hyperfixate on one thing and go really in depth. Being very engaged in something like that, finding out all the secrets the game has. That's why we have different games. That's why not everyone is just playing the same thing. You can pick things that fit your preference. Rules and preference for roguelike games is 30 minutes to an hour per run, the over 2,000 hours in Isaac. I don't honestly remember how long Isaac runs are. They keep adding more stuff on the end of it. I used to play a lot of, like, the original Isaac and Rebirth before the DLC got added, but they just keep adding, like, more endgame areas, and I don't actually remember how long the game takes to complete anymore. And I know that, like, there's speed running and intentionally trying to go fast, but that's not what I mean. Good reminder that my controls are inverted. I'm basically confused right now. 45 minutes to 2 hours? What the fuck? Seriously? I thought I remember them being like 30 minutes. Why am I using inverted controls? Well, that's the challenge for the Moonlord. For Repentance, you often break the game and you go for 3 or 4 hours? Did Isaac introduce like a looping mechanic or something where you go back to the start of the game? How the fuck do you play for 3 or 4 hours? $30 minutes is the time you have to beat to unlock the secret boss Hush. About an hour. D20? Oh, like re-rolling items? Okay, I could see that. Min-maxing your item re-rolling and going back and forth to... Oh, the arrow key? Resets the run, but you keep your items. Okay. So an extreme forget-me-not. I mean, I remember going for, like, boss rush in Rebirth, and that wasn't it like 20 minutes? I don't actually remember. Isaac is an insane game, but you need discipline. The synergies will allow you to get infinite arrow keys. Is it fun? I mean, I remember infinite re-rolling stuff. I've done that before. Like, I kind of tapped out in Isaac. For me, I've said this a few times before, but Isaac is my go-to example for what I don't like happening with development in roguelike games, where I tend to go really heavily into roguelike games. I will, like, no-life it, 100% it, get all the unlocks, and then never touch the game again. But then Isaac released, like, 3 or 4 DLCs, which, like, majorly changed how the entire game works, and I don't have the drive to go back and get into that mindset again. You know, I'll play the game a bunch, I'll have a great time with it, I don't want to play it again. That's usually how I interact with roguelike games. And that's pretty similar to what I did with Slay the Spire and Dead Cells, and I'm in the middle of doing that with Nuclear Throne now. That's what I did with Voodoo Orchestra. It's just kind of how I interact with those games. Repentance is basically just a new game. I should try it out. I don't really want to. I'm not filled with anything that resembles interest when I think about playing more Binding of Isaac. It clips all levels in Risk of Rain 2? No. Risk of Rain 2 has multiplayer, so I treat it a bit differently. It's easy to just, like, hop in with friends. Like, I don't see myself having fun playing Isaac, really. I mean, I spent a lot of time 100%ing both of the base games and then 100%ing Eternal Mode when that got released for the original Isaac. I don't want to go back and do it more. I've probably got like 500 hours between the two games. And it's just a lot of holding down the arrow key, resetting runs, finding items, doing the same things over and over again. Repentance over double the characters I can play as. But, like, I don't care is the thing. Like, I'm done with Isaac. I have no interest in going back to play another Isaac game. I have no interest in doing more things within Isaac. I have no interest in playing new characters in Isaac. Like, I'm mentally checked out of Isaac as a franchise. I have no interest in it. I haven't played the game since, like, 2017? 2016? 2018? And, I mean, at the end of the day, like, Isaac was really fun when I played it for the first time. I enjoyed getting into it. But I don't really think Isaac is that fun. Honestly. Like, if I'm gonna pick a roguelike game to play, I'd much rather jump in and play Dead Cells, or Slay the Spire, or Nuclear Throne. Just because I find the gameplay of those games to be more fun than Isaac. You know, Isaac was edgy when I was a teenager and kind of had appeal based on that. It was kind of this, a lot of, I would say, like, edgy references in it. And you know, I think when I was younger, there was definitely an interest in, you know, the fact that it was, had a lot of, like, cool satanic I say satanic as if this is like some kind of devil worship thing. But just like, oh, hey, this is a really cool, like, this isn't what other video games have. This is, you know, unique and whatnot. But I'm older now. I don't really have much interest in it from, like, an aesthetic perspective or, like, a lore perspective. It's just kind of whatever. I'm more interested in the gameplay, and I think the gameplay kind of falls flat for me. After having played enough of it, and after having played other roguelike games. Okay, 16,000 on top eye, 10,000 on right hand, 10,000 on left hand. I think it's heavily dependent on luck, which you don't really like. That's also disables the player from having their own play style. It's the same for everybody, just rigging it out and win sleep. Yeah, I remember it being very annoying in Isaac, just holding down the R button and resetting until you get something good. Particularly when you were doing certain challenges or playing as particular characters. I remember that being very annoying with the Lost. And I mean pre-buff Lost, when the Lost didn't have Holy Mantle or the D4. It was just you died in one hit and had flying. It was very tedious. But I know also Isaac has like a lot of reroll things and whatnot. I'm not sure how like heavily dependent on luck it is. I could imagine for like getting really late into runs, it could rely on that, but I don't remember it being that much the case. I don't know how much it's changed. Ever really like the aesthetic yourself? Is the challenge just hard or tedious? I mean, it depends on how you gauge difficulty. Overall, we've certainly had some very difficult challenges over the span of this run. We had to fight Plantera with no accessories, which means Featherfall dodging her. And taking a ton of damage whenever she hits me. You know, we fought Golem with voice controls. We did Deerclops blindfolded. There were definitely some very challenging things we had to overcome. What determined the challenges? Me. I just picked them. This one in particular, like, inverted controls. At this point, I've adjusted to the control inversion. You probably, like, as you're seeing me play, aren't even acknowledging the fact that I'm playing with inverted controls. But I am basically permanently confused right now. It's just after being confused for an hour, you roll back into not being confused anymore. It's not too tedious. I mean, this might seem tedious, but keep in mind, I've killed the Moon Lord with a fucking lawnmower, which does less than a 24th of the DPS we're doing now. So in comparison to that, we are, like, we're overpowered. Am I, like, good at the game or something? Allegedly. I want to make sure we don't do too much damage to the hands. The top eye is what determines the Moon Leech clock cycle. When that dies is when he swaps to the faster cycle, so we want to make sure the top eye is the last one to die. Post-buff Lost is a really good and fun character. And I'm sure he's fine. Post-buff Lost is just pre-buff Lost without, like, 3 hours between runs. Is how I would describe it. Because honestly, like, I played a lot of the Lost. I did all the Lost unlocks before they got any buffs. And it was just sitting there resetting until you got Holy Mantle of Dead Cat on the first floor. You could try playing without Holy Mantle of Dead Cat. I think I had one run where I beat the game without Holy Mantle of Dead Cat. I think I went to the chest. And I also did Boss Rush with Epic Fetus. But it just really wasn't even worth trying. But I don't think the Lost was originally... Wasn't Macmillan, like... Or wasn't there a whole thing where people data mined the Lost, like, within a couple days of Rebirth coming out? Where it was supposed to be, like, a hidden secret that lasted a lot longer, but it just got discovered very quickly or something like that? I thought I remember that being the thing. The Lost release was an AOG. Yeah. As a result of that, he made a shitty item that's called Data Miner. Data miners are annoying most of the time. I mean, it depends how you want to interact with things. I mean, data miners are why we understand a lot of game mechanics to the extent that we do. If I need that, I'll reach out to people. Prime roll. Like, if we didn't have data miners for a lot of games, we wouldn't have anywhere near the level of understanding that we do about those games' mechanics, because a lot of developers are not in habit of releasing in-depth information about how their systems work. You know, we can figure out the resistances that enemies have in, like, Souls-like games, in Elden Ring, and how online level ranges work. And in Terraria, we can figure out how HP regeneration works, and all sorts of different mechanics. I don't have any problems with data miners conceptually. I think it's very helpful being in video game communities where you have data miners figuring out information about games. Now, I do understand the frustration of, you know, having some kind of challenge or ARG that gets solved by a data miner, as opposed to, you know, the community as intended, but, that's kind of just how things go at a certain point. Like, data mining is only good in the later parts of a game cycle. No, I don't think that's true. I just think it's annoying if you are trying to solve some puzzle and a data miner reaches the answer before you do. I think that's why people get annoyed with data mining. I don't think it has anything to do with duration that the game is out. I think it's just... It's annoying having somebody accomplish something that you were trying to do before you did it without the same path that you were taking. This data mining is part of the puzzle. Yeah, I mean, there are some games where they expect people to data mine and they hide clues in the game code. Data miners are top G informaticians. It's on you as a developer for being outsmarted. Okay, well, we're almost almost at phase 2, which is concerning because I don't really know how that's gonna go, to be blunt. That's gonna be a bit make or break here because those True Eyes of Cthulhu do a lot of damage. And I'm not really sure if we'll be able to sustain them very well. Data mining a puzzle that doesn't need it is like cutting through a locked door instead of picking it. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people just want to get to the other side of the door. It doesn't matter how they get there. Like, at a certain point, a door is a door you want to find a way through. Sure, you could try to find the key, you could lockpick it, or you could just break it down with a sledgehammer. Am I using the fell defense build? No. We don't have all Hollow Knight stuff, we got beetle armor. And a couple of warding accessories, but not really any flesh knuckles or anything like that. What strategy for phase 2? I don't know, we'll figure it out. You know, I'm also somebody that tends to find unorthodox solutions for accomplishing things as opposed to intended solutions. So I can empathize with data miners just looking at a locked door and instead of going, oh, I need to go find the key, just attacking the hinges and finding a way down. Just because it wasn't the solution that the developers expected or wanted you to make doesn't make it not a solution. That's not what I said, Tiny King. I didn't say I would do it if they added a coast lawnmower. I said if a coast lawnmower was added, I was going to go to Relogic headquarters and slap Red in the face. Be contractually... No, I didn't sign it. I didn't sign a contract. You have no legal standing to force me to honor the terms of it. But if they added a lawnmower class, they're not going to add a lawnmower class. Like that is never in a million years will the Terraria developers go, you know what the game needs? A fucking lawnmower class. But what if they did? No, that's not. That's like saying, hey guys, what if Terraria had a crossover event with Call of Duty? And Terraria made an FPS version where you would control your ranged weapons in a Call of Duty competitive multiplayer map. In fact, I think that one's more likely than having a lawnmower class. We'll see Terraria in Fortnite before we see Terraria with a lawnmower class. So never? Yeah. Like, there are things that I could see Relogic doing, and there are things that I would not be surprised if Relogic added, and then there are things that they would never in a million years add. And I don't think Terraria is ever going to get a 5th class. Especially a fucking lawnmower class. What? Let's say for the sake of argument there's a lawnmower class, then what? It would suck, no one would use it. It would be Thrower 2.0, except even worse. But when they added Thrower class, except the difference with Thrower class is that they removed Thrower class because they learned from their mistakes, and they were like, wait, this is a bad idea. This class sucks. We don't need a 5th class. Wait, guys, I think Thrower might be bad. The only situation where a lawnmower class would ever come into existence is if, like, the developers at Relogic just dropped a bunch of acid one day and made a secret seed that was just a massive shitpost with, like, reworking melee into the lawnmower class, and every melee weapon was just the lawnmower. Plants vs. Zombies crossover. Are Plants vs. Zombies games still, like, being made? Is it still, like, a relevant franchise? Don't they have, like, the FPS Plants vs. Zombies games? Plants vs. Zombies 3 came out recently? It's not good from what you heard. All I know is my younger brother likes playing, like, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, which I think is like a shooter. Plants vs. Zombies 3 is out. I mean, what? I think the last Plants vs. Zombies I played was, like, literally Plants vs. Zombies. Maybe Plants vs. Zombies 2, I don't remember. There was, my sister used to, like, sell used video games at a flea market, and as part of that we'd have to test various video games, and I think there was a Plants vs. Zombies game for, like, the 360, which was just like a 360 port of Plants vs. Zombies that I played briefly. That's about it. It's currently very popular in China because someone made a new version based on the classic one. Plants vs. Zombies 2 is mobile only? Okay, that's probably Plants vs. Zombies 1 then. Okay, we're down to below 4,000 for each hand. I want to make sure to have their damage be roughly synchronized. I'm not 100% sure how this will play out. It's the ball attack after the death ray that the True Eyes start their cycle. So that's roughly when we want to have them lined up to be killed. We might pull out the regular flares to kind of edge the HP bar closer to 1 without going over. Each coast flare is going to do 241 damage or less. But I think the on-fire debuff from the regular one also... Did you heal from that? Fast enough. We were fast enough, okay. Also lasts for 10 seconds, which would be 40 damage. Like, bring the boss close... No, not... Like, bring the health bar closer to... Yeah. Yeah, edge the health bar. Like, get it closer to the end without going over. I mean, that's what that word means. That's why it's called that. Edging about? No, I'm edging the, like... Yeah. I am bringing the health bar closer to the edge without killing it. You know what I said? Well, I was right. Like, what I said is correct. That's what I'm doing. I'm edging the Moonlord's health bar closer to 0 without taking it over because I want to kill them in sync. It's impressive I can read chat and do this at the same time. Thank you, Garfield. Why does his health go down for a sec when you teleport? It's because his core is, like, unloading from the world briefly. But as soon as, like, you can see his hand health bars are still there when he starts teleporting, but his core isn't. His core doesn't exist in the world when he's teleporting. It only comes back into existence when his sprite returns. Why Shy Guy Mask hasn't played that version of PvZ? Remember he's a pro? Oh. But because he's multiple NPCs and they teleport separately. Yeah, about that. Okay. Well, so far, I don't think we've let him heal a single time, so we've been very effective at that. Will I watch Shrek 5 when it comes out? I didn't even know there was a Shrek 4. What do you mean Shrek 5? The fuck is Shrek even doing anymore? Didn't he, like, have kids and settle down in a family? Like, 3 movies ago? Are we just at, like, Shrek's midlife phase? Where he's working a dead-end job as an accountant? What is there for Shrek to do anymore? There was no fourth movie, it's just Shrek 1, Shrek 2, and Shrek Forever After. There's no other movie between 2 and Forever After. How long did the fight last? 5 hours? Nah, shouldn't be that much longer. Gets into trouble and resolves it at the end. Hold on, you mean to tell me that this movie is going to have some kind of, like, plot where the main character is going to have some problem introduced within the first act of the movie that's going to build until the climax, at which point the problem is resolved and the movie ends? Is that what you're getting at? But, like, does Shrek still have kids? Right? Because, like, doesn't Shrek have, like, children? Who's taking care of his kids while he's doing this? Does he, like, have a family? He unmade them in Shrek 4? Seriously? He pulled a Stardew Valley, like, wizard in the tower, or witch, where you just turn your kids into doves and they don't exist anymore. Shrek has kids, Donkey has kids with a dragon. Yeah, I'm not complaining about Donkey. Time travel happened? Okay, so Shrek wrote himself into a wall. It was just, what if Shrek didn't exist in the movie? Forever After, the movie where he lost his kid, is actually a good movie. So what happened? Was it like a divorce attorney that gave his kids to Fiona? Okay, every single one of these hands is within one coast flare of being killed. So, I'm going to try to bring them close without going over. I believe each one of these shimmer flares will do less than 40 damage. I sure hope I'm right on that one. Oh, that did very little damage at all. Rumpelstiltskin put him in an alternate universe where Shrek was never born and returned for one day from his kids. Yes, really. I'm trying to sync all the eyes. I would like to. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I would like to. 208 on that one. Okay, I'm hoping that top eye Okay, okay, that top eye is very, very low. It's at like 12 HP right now. $17. 17's like 12. Okay, I can get one more hit on the right hand. We're gonna have to kill these asynchronously, though, which is annoying. We can't just, like, set off an explosive to kill them all at the same time. We can't even bank on dots dealing damage over time, because the eyes open and close. So, these two hands are about half a second between being shot and being killed. Let's bring this left one a bit closer. Well, I mean, is there... This is our first attempt, Lucky. I mean, the first phase, we're not going to lose the first phase. It would be... We would have to play extremely poorly in order to not successfully do the first phase. I mean... I really want to try to synchronize these true eyes as best I can. I could try a couple different strategies, but I think the most consistent ones is just pop in and one out. And then trying to time the attack. It's... two more hits over there. Okay. I suppose we'll pop out this one first. I want to do the top one last, I know that. Okay, so... game plan. We pop out... his cooldowns are normal. Lucky, nothing's changed here. We pop out the eye. Human prediction of 1.4 to 1.3? He is. Moonlord used to get, like, desynchronized, I believe. Whereas now he follows a more rigid cycle. Like, his eyes would get kind of desynced and attack at different times. I think. Whereas in 1.4 they changed his behavior to not do that. Alright, well, just hop in and kill that hand. It's not much else to it. You gotta hit the hand. Okay. So it's... Death Ray? I think. When is... Hang on. They said it was... His fear attack after doing the Death Ray is when the loop happens. That? So it's immediately after that it loops. So probably when he's doing that attack, I want to shoot the hand. Did I hit it? Okay, I have them in succession. I do not have them synchronized. I don't know which one popped out first. That is what I wanted to avoid happening, but we can work with it. The death beams for the True Eyes don't go through blocks, so we can improvise a solution. At least I know when they're doing things. They're happening sequentially. One after another. We may have to do some teleporting shenanigans. So the trick is that we're doing is I'm gonna sit here while they're doing that. I mean, if I can get all of their lasers synchronized, I can just plan to teleport back there whenever a laser's coming out. It'll still be a bit awkward because they'll have to, you know, sync things with... Alright, let's... I want to get that last one out, but I couldn't tell when they were doing their attack. I want to kind of stick near them when they're doing their lasers. They usually replaced with the dash accessory? Nothing. I don't use dash accessories. I'm just going to go for it. I missed. Okay. Yeah, it's the fact that we have to actually hit a projectile, a slow-moving projectile on a small-moving target, and there's a damage over time factor after that that makes this really quite tricky. I'm gonna go for it. I missed again. Like I said, even if they're not perfectly synchronized, I want them to be roughly synchronized. Fuck. I was paying too much attention to the True Eyes and not the Moonlord himself. I really want to pop that last eye out. Can we get a... Okay, okay. I'm gonna go for it now. Come on. Open up! Damn. That was very just awkward timing. Lasers? Can we open up? Alright. Pop it out. Okay. Oh boy, we gotta figure this out. We don't need to worry about him healing right now. Okay, I should replace this with an actual, like, door, if I can. Alright, first up, we're just gonna heal the full HP. And, you know, we can just, kind of cycle off to the side while that's happening. We don't have to worry about him healing now. Maybe just run and gun? No, it's his healing. We can't outrun his heal here. And we can survive the True Eyes, no problem. It's not difficult to get away from them. The tricky part is being close enough to deal damage without allowing him to heal. I'd really like to make an actual door that will block death rays when I teleport back to the base. So we're going to try to get some distance between the True Eyes and the Moonlord here. Hopefully giving us enough time to craft. This is the ocean, though, so unfortunately we will have to launch away. Do the true eyes stay in a consistent location when they teleport? Because I don't see those true eyes anywhere. We might actually be able to work here if they're going to stick on his left side. There were no asphalt rule? No, I just didn't make some. You know? Yeah, I mean, teleportation potions would be nice, but we can work without them. So the true eyes are not synchronized, but they are similar in speed. We can kind of bob and weave up. Not super effectively, but you know, to a degree. I'm gonna... Once my potion comes off cooldown, I'm gonna go for crafting a door. The main thing with the True Eyes is just getting distance between you and them. It's very easy to avoid their attacks as long as they're not close to you, but when their attacks start spawning nearby, it's quite tricky. Okay, let's go for it. I need to find a good location to do crafting. Let's go on top of this tree. Okay. Next step, we need to destroy the platforms that are the house for, the door for the house. Let's just teleport back, I suppose. Okay. So the next part is just finding a way to deal damage. Because right now, we can survive indefinitely. That's not the trouble. It's the fact that we got to get in there and actually hurt him that's going to give us some difficulty. I'm thinking we loop magic mirrors, and it kind of seems like the True Eyes are sticking to his left here. So if we can do something like this, where every time his tongue comes out, we teleport home, and let's try it here. Teleport home, fly out, go up, go down, tongue comes out, teleport home. Ooh, we gotta go in the teleporter though. Okay, we'll try to link them on his right side then, instead of his left side. We're too close by unless we use the teleporter, so we have to go right to left. Let's try this. Are we gonna have to alternate, or is that sufficient? That might have been sufficient. It's... Well, ideally we don't get hit by the tongue at all. I guess if the tongue hits us, we alternate. Okay. Let's get situated here. Terraria if it was real-time strategy. Okay, it's about a 5-second cooldown. Alright, that's a flare, not a... Okay, it's fine, it's fine. Teleport back. Wait for the tongue. Teleport back. Okay, we'll have to alternate left and right, I think. Teleport back. Go right. Fly up. You can get enough space to outrange it. Fly down. On the right. Go this way. Okay. I think this'll work. Hey, Shy Guy. Came just in time. Okay, tongue come out. Go back, go right. Tongue comes out. Go left. I'm still... By the way, I'm still confused. Like, when I say go left and go right, I'm actually pressing down the opposite key because I still have the inverted controls. Okay, I synchronized 2 of the eyes. That's something. Because I saw their lasers were kind of in sync there. I think this is basically what I did for the original Flaregun only 2. Something to this effect. Except I was on Classic there, and the odds of us dying were a lot lower. Trying to come out. Teleport back. Come out. As you can see, we have to teleport a lot more often here. It's on a much tighter loop. I also have to make sure I'm actually hitting the core to deal damage to it. Teleport. Ah, damn. Okay. I can outrange those ones. Okay. We had to take a potion there, which I don't really like. We need to go up more. Right now, we're just going down. We need to go up, because that lets us get more space. Enough space to outrange the laser. Okay, well, that was, that's about 2,000 damage so far. We gotta do that about 20 times, and then the Moon Lord's dead. That's a little bit awkward. We're gonna have to time things a bit better. Having the debuff is a bit inconvenient because the Moon Lord spawns clots regardless of whether you have the tongue touching you if you have the debuff. In phase 1, things line up. Whoops, I walk out there. Things line up in such a way. I'm losing a little bit of HP. Something killed the nurse. What the hell? It lines up such that you'll never have the debuff unless it touched you in phase 1. But in phase 2, the cycles are shorter, so you can conceivably get the debuff. We are losing some HP here. I don't like that. I need to figure out a more consistent way for evading this. Because we can't sustain damage at the rate we've been taking it. And I think it's largely the lasers that are causing that. So we really need to do a good job avoiding those death rays. We can go into... Well, that and they just literally go on top of me. Like there. Man, I got hit by every single one. I really dropped the ball there. Okay, just stay indoors. Stay indoors for the lasers. If I can predict when they're coming. At least until we heal up a bit. Reversed horizontal movement can be countered by having my keyboard upside down. I guess that is true. Yeah, I could have my keyboard upside down to invert this, but I don't want to do that. That seems nightmarish. Laser? Okay, let's go inside. Uh-oh. Healing Clot? I think we avoided it. Nah, that Healing Clot got off. That's fine, though. Okay, we are tentatively surviving, but I am not feeling good about the, Oh, shit, I had the clock debuff. Damn. Okay. Had to pay more attention there. I was trying to avoid the lasers, prioritize my HP. Could also just change my binds. Yeah, but where's the fun in that? It's not going well. Alright. I'm gonna let him heal a bit here. Just with the intention of hopefully... I really need to outrange those lasers. I need to do a better job of dodging those lasers. I'm just not really sure how to. Fingers crossed. I mean, we're not going to die. We still got plenty of HP. It's more about trying to brainstorm a solution here. We've got the damage, and I was tentatively surviving. It's just sometimes the True Eyes would line up in such a way that I couldn't really teleport back without them just physically being on top of me and hitting me multiple times in succession. Which sucks because it leads us into situations like that where our only option to survive is to put ourselves in a situation where the Moonlord heals. Right? Like, the risk of dying is very low because at any given point in time, I can just run away. And the True Eyes will be basically unable to hit me when I do that. But I can't avoid the Moonlord healing when I do that. So I have to... I really don't want to do that. That's very much so a last resort. We do damage pretty quickly. I mean, 75,000 at 24 DPS. How long does that take to do? It shouldn't be too long. Probably like less than an hour, right? Okay. Let's go back into it. Gotta do it better this. Well, I'll heal up a bit more. That one just hit me though. 52 minutes? Just under an hour. Yeah, I mean, that's... Could I use contact damage to iframe out the eyes? I could, but that's not really beneficial. CGA. One, it would eat my Beetle Endurance buff. Which is bad. Because Beetle Endurance is pretty big for not dying. Two... it makes it more difficult to dodge the tongue, which I need to do. It puts me at a much closer location to the Moonlord. Okay. You know, we can just sit here. His tongue's not out right now. Now we go back. It's mostly getting hit multiple times in rapid succession that's the problem. Because that eats through Beetle Endurance. As long as I have Beetle Endurance, the eyes do not deal very much damage. But if I don't have Beetle Endurance, they shred through me. How many buff potions do I have left? Enough. I've got 80 minutes of pumpkin pie, which is my lowest. And it should only take like 50-something minutes to do this. I'm gonna take some lasers here. Death rays. Hopefully I can get high enough up. Yes, that is what I want to have happen. Alright, 2,000 down. And we're still at full HP, and our potion is not on cooldown. Lasers are coming out. We're going to take some damage here. I might be able to outspace them. Yeah, okay. By the way, even if you don't have a soaring insignia, what I was doing earlier is a pretty foolproof way to dodge the Moonlord indefinitely. You just kind of fly up and down along the surface, trailing the True Eyes behind you. I usually do it with a soaring insignia because it's easier. You don't have to worry about getting stuck on living trees and weird terrain. But you just kite the Moonlord across the world. And that works very well. Okay. Like, that attack only did 9 damage because Beetle Endurance was out. Alright, 3,000 down. Why are we using Steampunk Wings? They are the best pre-Moonlord wings that do not require killing a boss. They are equivalent in performance to Festive. Well, killing a boss or doing a moon. They're equivalent in performance to Festive, Spooky, and Tattered Fairy Wings. Which are the highest tier of wings for you. That doesn't require killing a boss. Oh, I forgot to retake my buffs. That's right. I'm taking so much damage. We're in the snow biome. Shit. There's frozen water on the ground there. But specifically the left pool is frozen water. If I touch that left pool of water... okay, slime rain. Let's... Come on, come on. There we go. Tongue, sitting here. If I touch that pool of water right there, I get chilled. And only that pool of water. You're up Black Belt. Black Belt is just a worse Brain of Cthulhu, which I already have. It's also not, like, very good. But they stack, though. 10% chance to dodge an attack is not good. Like, that's a bad accessory. That is not worth using. Okay, lasers. Oh, interesting. They teleport still doing their lasers. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that checks out. That's why you don't want to have them teleporting when you're kiting him. Because they bring the lasers with them. Okay, we are almost 6,000 down. This is working. We are on Expert right now, CC. I mean, the world difficulty is Journey. But we're set to Expert in Journey mode. No, this is not Master Mode. To be honest, it's kind of strange to an accessory only available after Plantera to only be used in a recipe with early game movement accessories. I mean... it's a little weird, but it's 2 early game accessories and 2 late game accessories that get added together to make the ninja gear. And it makes thematic sense. I imagine it was less of, oh yes, let's make an upgrade to Tiger climbing gear, and more of, hey, we're adding all these ninja items. These 2 things are also kind of ninja related from the early game. What if we just added them together? The Moonlord teleporting SFX is burned into your brain. What the fuck was that dash? What? Did you see what that Try of Cthulhu just did? He like full tilted to the sides. Just jumped through the nurse. We're about to take some damage, but we got a potion off cooldown. Okay, I think that's 10,000 damage? No. So that's 75,000. We're at 8,000. Which is a tenth of the way there for phase 2. Oh! Oh, we had a slime join us. If you didn't see that. A slime fell out of the sky. The Moonlord's spawn rate reductions are localized around him. I guess we got far enough away that a slime was able to spawn. these lasers go off. You know, James Garfield. I don't know who James Garfield is. Like, is that like the president? Or is that? Is it the 20th president? Was he also the 18th president? There was one president around that time period who served non-consecutive terms. Oh no, he was the guy that was just shot, like, really soon on, right? Oh, that was Grover Cleveland. Okay. Look, I knew it was an even number that was around 20. Without him, we wouldn't have the Garfield comic strips, so I think he has done more to influence our country than most of the other presidents. I'm still streaming? Yeah, I mean, the moon world's still alive. Yeah, teleport in. Dodge the laser light show. Yeah, the True Eyes of Cthulhu are such a mess. I kind of synchronized them here, which makes it drastically easier. This is why, whenever you watch a speedrun of Terraria, you will see the speedrunners doing convoluted tactics to ensure the True Eyes spawn in a synchronized way. If the True Eyes are not synchronized, it is extremely difficult to consistently avoid them. Yep, we did 10k. 11k, actually. And this is also why we tried very hard to synchronize them during lawnmower only. Even just having them roughly synchronized to the point where I can sit here and go, okay, all of the True Eyes are doing their laser attack, I can go in the house to dodge the laser. That's a huge help. Because with the laser attack, you basically want to get indoors or fly diagonally up fast enough that you outrange the laser. So I can dodge all of them at the same time, even if they're not literally doing it at the exact same time. It does make it a bit annoying because they kind of dash after each other in short succession. Okay, laser. Slide for a sec. Yeah, phase 1 is consistent. You kind of just do semicircles back and forth, or there are easy, consistent ways to dodge the Moonlord's first phase. Phase 2 is a clusterfuck. If you're not kiting him across the world, basically, if you're not kiting him across the world or synchronizing the True Eyes, I don't really think it's possible to consistently avoid them. Ever tried using the up key for jumping / flying? I mean, that's what I do for doing dance pad only. You always thought Terraria should add a shade cloak? I don't think iframes on a dash would work well in Terraria. I think that would be too powerful. I can sit in that box, actually. That one's closed off, too. Doesn't Shield of Cthulhu have iframes? The Shield of Cthulhu gives you 4 iframes when you hit an enemy. It does not have iframes tied to it. You specifically need to hit the enemy, and even then, it is 4 iframes. That is 1/15 of a second. That's very different from just having a generic dash that just iframes anything. Oh, another slime up there. We're doing laser? Yeah, we're doing laser. Tongue out. Sit indoors. It really was just the laser that was giving me trouble. Now that we've found methods to consistently evade it, our HP is being a lot steadier. Okay, that is 20% of the way there for the Moonlord's second phase. Whoops, go up high. Yeah, also, Steampunk wings are more than enough for dodging the Moonlord. You do not need Duke Fishron wings or Empress wings or Betsy wings. You can very comfortably do it with Steampunk wings. Okay, that was a very convoluted way of me trying to close the door so that I could sit in that room without getting shot by lasers. Okay, our Beetle Endurance has worn off, which is very inconvenient. I would like to outrange these. Steampunk wings are the coolest wings. I like them a lot. I use them a lot during different challenge runs. Just because, I mean, they're basically late game Leaf Wings. Before Leaf Wings were nerfed. You just buy them, and that's it. You buy them, they're extremely good. There's no fanfare, there's no setup. Are Rocket Boots wings? No. You can equip Rocket Boots at the same time as wings. If they were wings, you wouldn't be able to do that. They do stack with wings. They add on, I believe, 0.7 seconds of flight time. Oops. I mistime things here. Which is more powerful the earlier in the game you are. Late game wings don't really need 0.7 seconds, but it can be beneficial. I have boots here for the running speed. More so than the flight time increase. On Steampunk wings post Golem? Yes, that's why I said late game. Jetpack only needs Steampunker to be sold. Steampunk wings are post Golem though. The only thing with Steampunk wings is they are expensive as hell. They cost like 3 platinum or something, and each reforge, even with a Happy Goblin Tinker, is going to be running you a little bit under, a platinum. They are not cheap at all. Okay, I guess we avoided the tongue. Damn. I kind of got my my sense of time mixed up there. Lasers coming out. Should be able to outrange him. Oh, damn. He healed there. I guess I must have been a little bit slow on the uptake for avoiding things. I didn't think that leech was going to get back in time. Or maybe he spawned one that I didn't notice. Still though, we are almost 20k down. Getting a little distracted. But that's fine. We just gotta keep consistently dealing damage. We've got about 1 Master Mode Plantera left before the Moonlord dies. Doing lasers. Is that the most expensive accessory in the game? Possibly. How expensive is the diamond ring? Isn't that 2 platinum? They might be the most expensive accessory. I think Steampunk wings are like 3 platinum. I'm not positive on that one though. 2 plat? And that puts it at... Diamond Ring is 2 plat. Yeah, I mean, I struggle to think of any items that are more expensive than Steampunk Wings, period. I mean, the Companion Cube at 5 platinum, that's the only thing I can think of that beats out the Steampunk Wings. Why is there a ceiling? That was there for a previous boss. It does kind of interrupt our ability to get falling stars to hit the Moon Lord, but it's fine. That was for the twins. The stipulation for the twins was inverted gravity. The Companion Cube is a pet? Yeah, I know. I said items, period, not accessories. The Companion Cube is the only item I can think of that costs more than the Steampunk Wings. So is Parrot Cracker? Damn it, I got chilled again. Ow. I got it right. Still got hit by it because I was chilled. Parrot Cracker is 3 plat, 75 gold. Okay. 20k down. Now just imagine doing this with On Fire, which does 6 times less damage, and you can imagine what the original Flare Gun was like. I'm pretty sure our build is basically exactly what it was during the original Flare Gun only. We had 1 less accessory slot, because we couldn't kill the Wall of Flesh on Expert, because we didn't have Cursed Blows. We had to do that on Classic. But, I mean, this is basically what we had the first time. And this is so much more engaging than Lawnmower only. I mean, I've said it a few times now. This is why I'm doing Flare Gun only again. Because this is actually interesting. This is, like, we're sitting here, we're dodging attacks, we're timing things. We're not forced to have a build that just invalidates the concept of death. Which we were for Lawnmower only, because, like, I couldn't play the game with a Lawnmower if we took enough damage to die. You know, if I take too much damage here, I'll die. That's going to happen. You know, we're falling down to, you know, losing a couple hundred HP. We're getting hit by attacks. It's, our survival isn't decided before the run starts. Exomex are one of the worst bosses you've seen in a while. I only fought the Exomex once. I don't remember them that well. I do remember them feeling very complicated. There was a lot going on. It was very difficult to make sense of everything. Overtuned, I think, is the word that I used for describing them. The eyes seem to be mostly in sync. Yeah, I didn't fully synchronize them, but I roughly synchronized them. They were all, like, within a second of each other. Which, you know, isn't perfect, but it's a good enough job. It's, oh, these are gonna hit us. Okay, nope, we got out of range. Good. Yeah, like I said, this is actually... We're playing the game, for lack of a better word. During Lawnmower only, we were not playing the game. We just AFK'd and read things while the game went on in the background. And playing the game is fun. It's interesting. It's engaging. It's what I want to do. Which is why something like this is a lot less annoying than Lawnmower only. And why I came back to do this a second time, even after having beaten the game with Flare Gun once, is because it's genuinely, actually fun to do, especially with all the extra stipulations. You know, I should really get a sense of timing for synchronizing the Moonlord's True Eyes. I think that would be a good idea. The most consistent way of doing that, I imagine, is going to be getting a sense of exactly how long after the death rays from the True Eyes come out. The amount of time between that and hitting an eye. So, like, if it's 2.5 seconds, which you can kind of get an instinctive feel for, then you could just kind of go on instinct. Okay, Phantasmal Death Ray came out. I attack the eye now. Because it's roughly a second or two after the Phantasmal Death Ray. Is the description a reference to Antechamber? Yes, actually. It's a very specific... I remember watching a video from, like, German 985, like, fucking, like, a decade ago, where he played Antechamber. And I specifically remembered him saying that in that voice. And I was like, you know what? That makes a good description. Like, he had a particular voice that he gave it that pops into my head every once in a while. What key binding do I use for grappling? Q. I'm a Q grappler. Where is this music from? This is the Terraria Otherworld soundtrack. And I'll be real. This song is not very good to listen to for like 2 hours on loop. I would have rather had the Moonlord's original theme here, but... yeah, I think... so, for me, I am a big fan of having all of my keybinds in an easy-to-access location. I have, so, I have WASD, Q is grapple, E is quick heal, C is quick buff, and X is quick mana. I never use quick mana, so I never really bother with that one. Oh, that hit me. Huh. Some weird hit registration on that. I have tab as mount, tilde as throw item, and then, you know, shift and control as the intelligence. Who uses quick mana? People that don't use mana flowers. I don't play mage, though, which is why I don't use quick mana. When I do play mages, you know, if I need to drink a mana potion, I'll press X, but I don't play mage enough to care about the quick mana bind. You know, somebody who has W bound to jump? I mean, I could see that. The only problem with having W bound to jump is it makes it very annoying climbing ropes. Because you need to press up. Like, you'll jump off the rope. You have to kind of hold it down. I mean, I play the game on a dance pad, and when playing on a dance pad, I have up and jump bound to the same button, and that works mostly fine. A lot of people also hold up when they're flying, naturally, even though it doesn't really do anything unless you're using one of the wings that you can boost upward when flying. So I understand why people do it. Use ESDF instead of WASD to have more key options on the left side of the movement keys. I mean, how many key options do you need? I don't even... do you have, like, modded keybinds? Okay, 30,000 down. And so far, we've only used 1,700 Coast Flares over the duration of the fight, I think. I think we started with about 5,000. How am I avoiding the heals? Is by avoiding the tongue? Yes. You'll notice that I'm teleporting a lot. This is because the Moonlord's tongue doesn't teleport with him. You'll see his tongue come out here in a second. I teleport away. Doesn't come with him. I can just kind of chill here. And then I'm using multiple teleporters to ensure that I have enough distance because of some nuance with it. It still physically exists as an entity, and if I go in the same direction 2 times in a row, it might still be there to hit me when I go back. So I want to make sure that I go in separate directions, because it doesn't just disappear. This fight is a lot more engaging with Beetle armor compared to Valhalla Knight. And that comes down to the fact that the Beetle Endurance buff, micromanaging Beetle Endurance is very, very important. It's the difference between taking, well, I mean, literally take half as much damage when you've got it up. Which means there's a lot more pressure to actually avoid small projectiles. Whereas when you have Valhalla Knight, they do no damage to you and you just heal them back up immediately. There's no reason not to. In fact, it's actually beneficial to take small projectiles with Valhalla Knight because they'll give you iframes against the big projectiles. Use controller for Celeste. Pretty sure I use the default and use the keyboard. You have 6 Sky Crates and need 1 Horseshoe. How many will you get? Is it microing the buff just not getting hit? I mean, yes, but I can't really dodge super effectively. The ultimate goal here is to avoid his healing, which means I am forced to follow a relatively similar movement pattern for the entire time. And if the True Eyes are in the way of that movement pattern, I don't really have to worry about getting hit too much in a situation like that where I have Beetle Endurance. But if I've already been hit once or twice, it's much more important that I find a path that allows me to avoid projectiles. Because, like, that did 14 damage to me. Because I had Beetle Endurance fully up. Isn't Hollow Knight? You love Hollow Knight. You have 400% Steel Soul saves and can't play the game anymore without deleting a save. Yeah, I wish Hollow Knight had more save slots. I remember that being an issue whenever I want to go play a new one, but I'm not really attached to my old saves, so I don't mind getting rid of them. Last time I played Hollow Knight was, I think, when I played it on a dance pad. There were points in time when I'll just be sitting here and then remember, like, hey, I did the Path of Pain on a dance pad in Hollow Knight. What the fuck? How did I do that? Why did I do that? Path of Pain is fun, you do it every save. It's a lot less fun when you're doing it on a dance pad. I think it took us, oh boy, like 12 hours, 14 hours? It was bad. I mean, again, dance pad. It's pretty fucking hard doing Hollow Knight's platforming on a dance pad. The Path of Pain is all about quick consecutive key presses, and short timings between things, and that's hard to do on a dance pad. What if I always had a leg cam like I do when on dance pad? Why would I do that? I'm wearing pants. But you want to see my legs? It's just a piece of fabric. And non-achievement stuff, you have Path of Pain and Steel, so 112% left. Well, good luck. I remember when I was 100%ing Hollow Knight for the first time. Isn't the point of a dance pad to do quick and consecutive inputs? Yes, but like there is a level of speed that you can perform on a dance pad because you physically have to move your foot to press each button, and it is much slower to move your foot to press each button than to move your fingers to press each button. And again, I did it on a dance pad. It was very difficult because you need to just very rapidly and consecutively, for long stretches of time, nail things, and if you mess up an input, you die. That is the Path of Pain. You need to do basically flawless inputs. For extended periods of time. Now, I've played Hollow Knight on a dance pad. I played Rain World on a dance pad. I played Elden Ring on a dance pad. Played Elden Ring's DLC until my dance pad broke, and also the DLC kind of sucks. Translating the Path of Pain into dance pad inputs would be pretty funny. I mean, I remember I had to bind the down button to be a pogo because I just physically could not press the inputs fast enough to pogo on stuff. I had to just have the down button also be a down attack. Because the frequency of pogos that you had to do. I couldn't press attack and down and the movement key to get to the side after pogoing fast enough. Where did the dance pad break? I mean, at the very end of the last dance pad stream. The down button broke. The connection in it just shit the bed. Which, I mean, I've been using it for 2 years. I'm not surprised. But I gotta get a new one before I can do anything else on the dance pad. That trader is dead. He's been dead before. Now, my favorite part about doing this, and we'll probably have a limited number of it going on, a limited amount of it going on, but whenever you kill the Moonlord with a low damage weapon, all of the... So in 1.4, Terraria added background spawn animations. You'll have wyverns, you'll have demon eyes, flying in the background. And the Moonlord prevents that from happening. It has this whole visual effect, it overrides the background. However, it does not stop those spawns from happening, it just delays them. They all queue up and happen at one time when the Moonlord dies. So, normally I fight the Moonlord for a much longer period of time, like 20 or 30 hours. So I don't know how many we're gonna get, but there should be wyverns and demon eyes queued up in the background that always kind of pop into existence at once. I'm good at Hollow Knight on a dance pad. How good am I at actual dance pad games? I haven't played a dance pad game in a long time. Like, a decade. It's a different skill. Playing games on a dance pad is not like playing DDO games. Because... Well, you just kind of fall into a rhythm of controlling that doesn't necessarily require the same movements as, you know, reacting to arrows. It's kind of the same. It's also going to beat Dark Souls with DK bongos. Yeah, I believe it. There's all sorts of peripheries that you can do. It's like Drunk World Generation pauses Falling Stars. No, we've had Falling Stars. Oh, wait. Oh, you mean like in the background. If you need to go to the washroom when you pause the game, I don't need to. I have a Bladder of Steel. You love doing Elden Ring challenge runs? I hate Elden Ring challenge runs. I think Elden Ring is the worst Souls game to challenge run. God, get. No, I just mean in general, like, I think Elden Ring is the worst of the Souls games to challenge run because it's just so long and tedious. Like, it feels like with the other Souls games, you just immediately hop into the game and start playing. It feels like in Elden Ring, you just run around an empty world collecting stuff. And I also just feel like the game gets stale, and it also scales to a really annoying level in the late game. I have a lot more fun doing challenge runs in the older Souls games because you just kind of get into it. I've done a couple Elden Ring challenge runs. I've done pot-only Elden Ring, and I've done Elden Ring without grace. And they were just miserable. Like, Elden Ring is just such a tedious game. And I would hate doing them in the DLC. It feels like the DLC bosses are absolutely not designed to accommodate non-meta strategies. It feels like they are very, like, built around players having specific items, and if you are not using those specific items, they are miserable. And some late-game Elden Ring bosses kind of follow that design, too, where it's very difficult to get openings with slow weapons. And as a result of that, I would not even consider doing challenge on the Elden Ring DLC. I think it's... yeah, I was hoping when playing it that it might address or solve some of the issues I had with the base game. It just made them worse. You got bricked up by the final... You got brick-walled by the final boss. Yeah, very rough fight. But I remember for me... you got brick-walled by the final boss. That's what I said. No, you got brick-walled by the final boss. Like you were having a difficult time. You couldn't get past a brick wall. It was an insurmountable challenge. Yeah, like when I was doing... So I played the entirety of the base game. On the dance pad with Ultra Great Swords. Like my Elden Ring dance pad run, I was using Power Stance Ultra Great Swords. I fucking loved that. Now, it got very annoying in the late game because of just all the scaling, and I was running out of time. So I think after... I think at Godskin Duo, I ended up just pulling out a Mimic Tier to make sure I could finish the game on time. Because it was around Christmas, and I was going to be gone for a couple of weeks. I didn't want to have to pause the run in the middle. And we got through and killed Melania, but we used Mimic Tier for a few of the endgame bosses. In the DLC, I wanted to go back to not using Mimic Tier because I had plenty of time. And those bosses were fucking awful with Power Stance Ultra Great Swords. Did you ever try to fight Rolana with Power Stance Ultra Great Swords? She doesn't have openings. Just genuinely. You cannot find consistent openings to attack Rolana with Power Stance Ultra Great Swords. They don't exist. Anytime that you try to attack her, she can just spontaneously decide to dodge to the side and start a new combo chain. The delay, the cooldown between her attacks is longer, or is shorter than your attacks with slow weapons. And like, sure, you could parry her or whatever, but that's completely changing my build to do something else. And she's not the only boss that had that issue. I think she was the worst example of it, though, in the DLC. We're 10 DPS? No, we're 24 DPS, not 10. Okay, 30,000 to go. Yeah, honestly, I don't really like that much when people use copper short sword only or lawnmower only as like examples of being good at the game. Because, I mean, to be blunt, literally anybody could beat the game with a copper short sword or a lawnmower under the conditions that I did. Like, they require you to build your character in a way where you can't die. Like, if you're willing to put in the time, there's no reason you couldn't kill bosses with a copper short sword or lawnmower. Like, you're effectively unkillable. You just make your build in a way that makes you effectively unkillable. And it's just a patience test. It's not really difficult. There's never a risk of dying. But I think things like this is more difficult than lawnmower only because I actually have to engage with the game. I also have to be persistent, but I have to, you know, play the game. I mean, get fixed by hardcore first try is better to show my skill at the game. I mean, yes, but no. I was not playing well during that get fixed by hardcore video. Like, I played like shit during that. It's a good example of game knowledge, but it took me like 40 hours to beat it or something. That's incredibly slow, and I had to bail out of boss fights a bunch. I was too concerned to commit to stuff. If I were to do it now, I would do a much better job at Get Fixed by Hardcore because I'm familiar with the seed. I'm just better at the game as a whole. But I think, like, if you were to approach it with the level of caution and game knowledge that I did, I think most people could beat Get Fixed by Hardcore. Yeah, I did also have to come up with the strats. I wasn't basing it off of anything. This was a week after the update came out, and nobody knew anything about the seed. So I had to react to stuff on the fly and come up with ways to do things. So instead of that, it's like, oh, someone beat this boss blindfolded with their fists, so it's not that bad. Yeah, people do love coming up. I hate, this is very common in Soulsborne games, and is common in a lot of other games too, where people will deflect criticism by saying, here is an extremely skilled player. This guy could beat the game with the controller up their ass. So obviously the boss isn't difficult. Like, if this dude can play it inputting buttons with their ass, then you can do it, right? Stop complaining, just get good at the game. Which, like, is kind of just tone deaf. It's a weird elitism, or, like, wanting to feel, like, cool or superior to other people. Like, yeah, of course it's not difficult. What do you mean it's difficult? Dude, I didn't have trouble with it. This guy didn't have trouble with it. We'd only reach the projectile limit if we fired 1,000 flares in 10 minutes, which we're not doing. You want to say it? I wasn't sure if it's allowed, but the skyblock one? I mean, no, it's not allowed. Like, I am tangentially aware of what you're talking about, but no, 1.4.5 spoilers not allowed. Don't discuss 1.4.5. Okay, down to 25,000. We're taking a lot of damage here. Hold on, we gotta sustain a bit better. Doing lasers. We're doing lasers. Need to make sure not to get hit here. Yep. Beetle endurance is back up. Potion will be off cooldown soon. Hold on. Taking a bit of damage. back. Potion off cooldown. Back to mostly full HP. Lasers coming out. Hung out. Oh shit! I mistimed it. I was, like, half a second too quick with teleporting back. I need to delay slightly longer. Rain World. You both love and hate this game. Same thing with Minecraft. You get little 2-week periods where you like it. See me live again. Good to see you too, Jackie One. I've been very busy the past 2 days coordinating a mod. And it's been a bit exhausting. Which is why I was a bit too tired to stream. God, and there was one fucking guy. I worked... The day that I made that video and did the planning stream, I was working, like, non-stop on working on the Terra Sales mod and planning things. And, you know, I finally get some sleep. There was a collaboration I did with a couple other Terraria YouTubers. They were doing some, like, Past the World challenge, which they had invited me to. So I had to play the game for 4 hours, and record playing that. And I finally do that after working for like 15 hours, and this fucking guy won't leave me alone at like 2 a.m. Just keeps like pinging me in the server, asking me the question, and then starts DMing me. And then as soon as I wake up, he starts grilling me with more questions. Like 6 hours later. You looking forward to the Watcher DLC? Kind of. It's going to come down to whether or not the developers learned from Downpour and the direction they plan to take the game in after that. I have my whole video talking about the Downpour DLC. And I want to see Rainworld taken in a direction similar to what it originally was. And less in the direction of Downpour. And I don't know what direction the DLC is going to be in. I would be very excited if it's a return to form. And is reminiscent of Rainworld's original design philosophy. If it's something more in Downpour style, I mean, I'll play it. I'll probably enjoy it. But I'm not, like, super hyped about it. Or enthusiastic about it. It's the difference between a game that I enjoyed and a game that I outright love. You like the outstyle change? The outstyle change? What do you mean by that? Are you talking about, like, just having different artists working on things? Like the... Downpour a different outstyle? But, like... What do you mean by that? If you find Agladon get fixed, boy, I would just wait for a skeleton merchant, bring a bed, and then sleep until he sells it. That's the most consistent way. You can find him in surface chests in the mushroom biome layer. That kind of area. But skeleton merchant's the most consistent way. Bring a bed, sleep till the right moon cycle. And the character art in the menu in a noticeably different style. I didn't think it was that different. I mean, are you talking about, like, the Outer Expanse ending for Survivor and Monk? Some of them did have different out there, but I didn't... It did clash with the original one, but I didn't dislike it. I actually like the Survivor and Monk Outer Expanse endings a lot. I think, you know, they don't necessarily feel the same as the base game, but I do like that artwork. It feels compelling to me. But, like, I accept that some things are going to be different. I'm not too concerned with the outstyle. Like, I do love Rainworld's original outstyle, but, you know, you're not necessarily going to have the same people, having the same people and artists working on the project. Or they might not want to draw the same things. changes like that, I'm, you know, more fine with than... to close the door there so that laser didn't get me. I think the narrative and writing direction was more of... What I would be unhappy with, or what I think would be a bad DLC storyline, like, I don't want the Watcher DLC to just focus on more iterators, because Downpour very heavily did in a lot of ways. It was just a DLC of various iterator stories that the Slugcat was kind of just directly driving the plot of, and some of them were good, and I'm not saying that they're necessarily bad stories, but I was more compelled with the stories that did not involve them as heavily. And I think if the Watcher DLC is going to be another, like, go bring 5 pebbles, his data pearl, telling him how to kill himself, then I would not like that. You know, Downpour kind of retcons Slugcats from just being little creature guys to extremely powerful killing machines that also drive the fate of the world. Or rather, the fates of iterators who are, you know, godlike creatures. And I would prefer seeing the Watcher DLC taken in a direction where that's not the case. I think 1 HP hardcore will ever be finished. I mean, people have done it before. Do you mean like me doing it? I've got other stuff to work on. I don't have the time to commit to it, but other players have done it. I think they usually do seeded runs. And use save and quits. But, like, it's doable. People have done it. The open goes in a different direction than either Downpour or original Rainworld. Yeah, I mean, I'll play it regardless, and I'll probably have fun with it. There were definitely things introduced in Downpour that I absolutely loved. I hope we get more arena challenges in the DLC. I think the arena challenges were an incredible decision in a lot of different ways. Both in terms of teaching the player mechanics and just as being fun. I really enjoy the inclusion of the arena challenges. We popped Beetle Endurance, we gotta be careful here. True Eye Lasers, Glampy-Doo. Since when did the Moonlord laser get blocked? No, it's specifically the True Eye Lasers that get blocked by blocks. Yeah. The actual death rate doesn't get blocked. Yeah, 15k left. That's why they call them blocks. They're there to block things. It does what it says on the tin. Yeah, and people have no-hit the game. And, like, I'm sure that if I applied myself and spent a lot of time learning strategies and just throwing myself at it, I could probably no-hit the entire game. But I don't want to. I don't find it to be very fun, and I have other stuff I'd rather work on with my time. It's a very intensive process doing that. It's a lot of learning, and it's just more fun for me to work on other stuff. On a YouTube playthrough with some no-hit games in 2 hours on a seeded run. Yeah. Seeded runs definitely help out a lot. When I was trying for it, I was doing unseeded runs, which means you never know what you're going to get, you never know what the world layout is, and it's a lot harder to plan around things. In a seeded run, you have a lot more consistency, and it's kind of just throwing yourself at the same problem until you solve it, whereas in an unseeded run, it's throwing yourself at a different problem each time and finding a way to solve it on the fly. So I definitely understand why people do seeded runs. On Master Mode, no less. I mean, if you can do it on Expert, you can do it on Master. It's not like Master changes very much. It just makes it take a little bit longer to kill bosses. One HP Master is just an HP increase. Yeah. That's really it. Like, if you can dodge the bosses consistently enough to no-hit them, you can dodge them for another 20 seconds to no-hit them on Master Mode. Computer just receives static when you plug in a mic? Are you... What do you mean? Like, it doesn't pick up your voice at all, or your mic is staticky? Does it work when you plug it into other computers? It might just be a hardware issue. Master Mode is still one of the most disappointing additions. I mean, it's disappointing if you had different expectations for it than what it wanted to be. People see Master and they think Expert Plus, whereas Relogic sees Master and just goes... Well, I mean, I guess it's harder, right? It's got more HP. It's got more damage. Yeah, I usually... Master Mode isn't fun, but there's... As somebody that does challenges, there's this, like, meta pressure to play on Master Mode because of the, you know, existence of the difficulty. If you don't do things on the highest difficulty, then people are just going to be asking, why aren't you doing it on the highest difficulty? So you're kind of forced to play on the difficulty. Not forced, but there is pressure to play on the difficulty that kind of just sucks. As opposed to something well balanced like Expert Mode. Imagine if I choke right now? I'm not eating anything. It's kind of difficult to choke. Yeah, the Phantasmal Death Rays from the True Eyes seem to have... If you're standing up against a block, their hitbox seems to go slightly beyond the block that they stop at. So if you're standing right up against a door, and it hits that door, it seems like it can still hit you. Oh, they're doing their lasers. Can I get away? So they have to tell when I'm sarcastic or not? I mean, I'm not eating anything. I wouldn't have time to eat anything. I've got to talk. I think Journey Mode is perfect for multiplayer? Really? I mean, maybe with people you trust or know well, but Journey Mode introduces so many opportunities for abuse. Between God Mode, spawn rate adjustments, time adjustments, item duplications, You know, I mean, if you want those things... Sure, I guess, but you're not really... If you got people that can just toggle on God mode whenever they want, or stuff like that, then it's a very different experience playing the game. Forgot about God mode and spawn rate and time stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a large part of why you would play on Journey mode is for access to those powers. In multiplayer farming stuff, I've found to be less of an issue. I mean, usually I find multiplayer runs to go faster than single-player runs because you just have multiple people tackling a problem at once. It gets done faster. If you get rid of the farming stuff problem, then there's really not very much to do outside of boss fights because you just gear up very quickly because you have multiple people working towards it. So I usually find farming stuff to be what to do in multiplayer. It introduces a lot of ways to cheat. Oh yeah, classic boss drops also suck. Playing Terraria multiplayer on classic is so awful. Because you only get one treasure bag. Oh, sorry, you don't get a treasure bag. All you have is just what the boss drops outright. Which means when you got multiple people, you're just splitting the drops around. And the health doesn't scale either, so bosses just get decimated immediately. Okay, only 6,000 to go. Plus no expert accessories. Yeah, I feel like expert is definitely the difficulty that the game is balanced around and intended to be played on. Yeah, I mean, it's a sandbox game, so intended is a tricky word, but at this point, expert is basically, I mean, it's basically the medium difficulty of Terraria, where classic is easy and master is hard. Expert's right down the middle. The only worthwhile accessory is the shield to Cthulhu anyway? What the fuck are you talking about? Soaring insignia? It's not necessarily an accessory, but Witch's Broom, Shrimpy Truffle. Yeah, Brain, Worm Scarf, those are very powerful accessories. They're kind of just background accessories, but they're strong. I mean, Demon Heart. It's not an accessory, but it's an accessory slot. Like, Expert Mode's got some powerful drops. There are a lot of relevant Expert drops. Sure, you're gonna get some, you know, hive packs, which a hive pack is just a worse stinger necklace, and is only relevant with a small number of items. And you're gonna get some bone gloves, but there were a lot of really good expert drops. I mean, I don't even think it's some of the best drops. I just think outright expert mode has the best drops. They are the most powerful items in the game. The Demon Heart, the Soaring Insignia, the Shrimpy Truffle, the Witch's Broom. Spore Sack can be good against Golem. Yeah, it's pretty strong. Shiny Stone is also really good for the pillars. If you're kind of edging the pillar, sitting around the edge of the pillar and taking a few enemies at a time. It's just really good for recovering HP. It's like a budget nurse. Is Witch's Broom expert or master? It's expert. And, I mean, Witch's Broom and Shrimpy Truffle are the two best mounts in the game. And Witch's Broom is more all-purpose, whereas Shrimpy Truffle is very strong in specific circumstances. Oh yeah, there's also the Black Spot back when it was overpowered as hell, but that's a master drop. And I mean, I think the Soaring Insignia, full stop, is the best accessory in the game. How bad is UFO? The UFO's not bad, but it struggles with evading some of the late game bosses. I've no-hit the Empress of Light with a UFO. That was my dance pad weapon. My dance pad means of doing it, because I was originally doing dance pad only, or dance pad Terraria on classic mode, and we did daytime Empress of Light on the UFO, and it was tricky to get to work. We had to utilize a recall, but it did work. But it's a lot worse than the Broom. It's just slightly slower than you would like it to be, and that small amount of speed makes it difficult for using it for late game bosses. I remember I would use the UFO back in 1.3 to dodge the Moonlord though. Calamity really killed the Insignia? I mean, I understand why. Alright, we got about 10 flares left before the Moon Lord dies. Like, you couldn't have... With Calamity's balance, you couldn't have the vanilla insignia. It's too powerful. And, like, yeah, it's disappointing. But... Nah, the Soaring Insignia is absolutely OP. Like... Especially in addition to Calamity's other wings that it would synergize with. Like, Infinite Flight is really fucking strong. And it would kind of trivialize a lot of those bosses. You're talking about my Calamity video? A lot of people have been watching that Calamity video. Honestly, I don't even remember what I said about Calamity that well. I remember thinking that I wouldn't really want to play it again. Okay, 1500 to go. This is one person's view of what Terraria should be. Yeah, I mean, they're the head mod. It's good that they have a vision of what the mod should be. Because if they didn't have a vision of what the mod should be, then the mod would be a complete clusterfuck. In a similar way that, like, I have a vision of what I want my Terra Cells mod to be. If I didn't have a vision of what I wanted that to be, then it would be a nightmare. Trying to organize everything. So I can understand and respect having that vision, but that vision is not going to line up with what other people want. Okay, final stretch, yeah. He's, they nerfed Phoenix Blaster? I think they just reworked the Phoenix Blaster, didn't they? They made it a lot slower, that's why I didn't like it. Alright. We have one more shot. 2 more shots. Let's bring him down to like 39 HP. 38. No, 62. I'm bad at math. Okay, let's wait for his Moonbite to wear off. Okay. And... he's dead. Let's B it up. Couldn't have done it without the B mount. B mount, best mount in the game. I frankly don't know how we could have gotten as far as we did without the B mount. Wow, it's green as hell over here. Jeez. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. That's a lot of green. It was all washed out with the Moonlord's visual filter. Or is this Germa? Oh, Jenna. There we go. There are all the demon eyes. And the wyverns. They're all queued up in the background. I love when that happens. That's my favorite part about killing the Moonlord with low damage weapons. It queues up all the spawns. And then, they all just show up at once. What did we get? Let's see. Meow Meow Minecart. Don't get that too often. Safe Man's... set? Okay. I don't think I've actually gotten that one before. Safe Man's Sunny Day. Oh, it's his son. I see. Who's Safe Man? Terraria dev, apparently. Illuminite, Super Healing Potions, Meow Meow, and Celebration Mode 2. No, I don't want to destroy the world. Okay. Let me go finish up. Let me go put my controls back to normal. By the way, if you forgot, my controls have been inverted this entire time. I've basically been playing with a permanent confusion debuff. SafeMan is the community manager. Okay. When's the official Twitter and stuff? How many hours? That is a good question. 40. About 40 hours. You're planning on doing more Calamity mod content? Not really. So. We have been on quite the journey here. We've had a unique stipulation for every single boss that we fought, which caused this run to be significantly more difficult than just flare gun only. We started with no defense before and during the Eye of Cthulhu. For King Slime, we had WASD unbound. Troncy. For the Brain of Cthulhu, we had no UI. For the Eater of Worlds, we were shooting bouncy dynamite out of our flares. For Queen Bee, we had to play on a controller. For Deerclops, we had to play blindfolded. And Deerclops was the only boss that the stipulation applied for the boss fight specifically and not beforehand. But Deerclops was like a 50-minute long slog fest, blindfolded the whole way. Skeletron, we played on Legendary mode. Yes, we did kill Legendary Skeletron with the flare gun. That was a journey. For the Wall of Flesh, we had a Brain Suckler blindness effect applied to us. For the Twins, we played with Gravity inverted, basically a permanently flipped gravity. For the Destroyer, he was just really big. In terms of length, I think he was like 150 segments or something like that. Maybe 180. For Skeletron Prime, we played at an increased speed in T-Mod Loader. Like 2x speed and then increasing to 4x later to make it go by faster. Then we went to Plantera. And Plantera is when we went back to getting difficult. Because we fought Plantera with no accessories. I think on Master Mode as well. Possibly Expert. I guess it was Expert because we don't have a Plantera Relic. And then, immediately going into that, we did Golem with voice controls. And then we got to Duke Fishron, and I started doing Duke Fishron at a dance pad, but then died in the third phase, and then my dance pad broke when I was doing Elden Ring. So we didn't actually kill Duke Fishron. We didn't do the Empress of Light. And the Cultist, I didn't really feel like imposing a stipulation for. And we kind of just skipped the Cultist, because I fought the Cultist with a flare gun before. It's miserable. Didn't feel like doing it again on stream. And then for the Moonlord, we had controls inverted. And yeah, that was the run. Only took about 40 hours. Coast Flares are an incredibly powerful addition. I mean, it's literally 6 times the damage to regular flares. It made this go way faster. I mean, just in comparison here. This run took 40 hours. The original flare gun only run took 110. It's night and day. How much better they made things. Oh, okay. Well, this is probably the last stream I'm going to be doing for about a week. I'm going to cat sit for my grandparents this weekend. I'm going to be there until I think next Thursday. I'm going to work on editing videos and making a bunch of different videos. I have a bit of a backlog right now. And then I'll probably get back to streaming after that. As to what I make, I'm not sure. And I'm going to be working on organizing and getting Terra Cells a solid footing. So yeah. Bye, everyone.